have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.
We got to the point where we could control the laws of nature by advanced electronics.
Dando fuga, vai! Dando fuga, vai! Não tenta bater de frente, sabe que lá tá fazendo macete. Desce até o chão, ela tá doida pra colar com a gente. Fazendo macete. Ela tá doida pra colar com a gente. Tá dando fuga, vai! Dando fuga, vai! Não tenta bater de frente, sabe que lá tá fazendo macete. Desce até o chão, ela tá doida pra colar com a gente. Fazendo macete. Ela tá doida pra colar com a gente.
Trim, edge, shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
X, the repeat in nature, is gonna get fired down. Pain's got it all.
We're just always constantly just trying to be one solid machine, is what I've been saying at least. But everyone else is like, we're just trying to be a hive mind, is the best way to put it. Like, we don't really want to just be all over the place with ideas. We're trying to let our creativity flow and just really just continue to hammer that in.
Needs to kill Satellite. Jesus, I mean, he was quadruple Lotus Decider.
I think like 9 out of 10 times I feel like we beat these teams as long as we just play like our standard normal game, and we kind of didn't do that the first time around, and I think we'll show a different face when we play them next.
With only 2 days remaining here in Valorant Challengers in North America, 3 teams remain. Of course, a coveted spot, it plans, their chance at champions on the line. And for one of 2 teams, that dream ends today. Welcome in, everyone. Sierra Dawn and Roy. I mean, Roy, this whole... Not even just this whole split, but like this whole year comes down to these final 2 days for our teams. A best of 5 today, our grand finals tomorrow. Like, what an exciting time.
Oh, it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking, I'm sure, for the players. Everyone's stressed. Everyone's happy. Everyone's excited to showcase themselves. It's probably a whole bunch of mixed bag of emotions for everyone involved. And I can only speak for us, Sierra. I'm personally excited. I'm pretty chill. I don't know how this is going to go. It seems like, you know, the end of the line is here for a lot of these teams, but overall, it's been exciting Valorant all around, and I'm here to see the conclusion for all of these things for a lot of these teams.
It really has been exciting. I mean, stage 3 has just been a completely different beast. And even the matches that we got to see yesterday, as this has been a little bit of a heartbreaking time, having to eliminate and say goodbye to some of these teams that, of course, are giving it their all. And I mean, that really came to a head yesterday. It was a lot of matches that we got to see going on. But of course, first off, we have to celebrate because M80, one of the favorites here, Roy, coming into all of this, was able to secure their spot in the grand final. Something kind of just felt inevitable at some point.
Yeah, they've kind of looked like the raid boss, haven't they? I mean, their performances looked impeccable. They showed in this match. It looked very dominant. They looked very collected, calm, in control for the most part. And I think, yeah, the practice that they put in, the big guns that they brought into this roster has really paid off for them. And I feel like overall, M80's looked and continues to look like one of the best teams we have in VCL NA for this year. But yeah, overall, maybe moving on to the SRB NRG roster as well. Sierra, this match went the absolute distance. Okay, this was the back and forth between these teams, everyone fighting for every inch of advantage they possibly could. I mean, Haven was just nuts. The second map went crazy. Just so much was going on. We got to see a lot of these players popping off. We got to see a lot of the strategy and a lot of the mind games, and kind of we're starting to enter like the territory of these teams having reads on each other, right? So overall, it's been quite crazy in terms of the adaptations, the meta progression, like everyone kind of reacting to the strategy and kind of getting a read on the enemy team. Just then the clutch ability and the individual step up as well has been so immaculate.
And I feel like, too, for Shopify, the team that, I mean, kind of surprised a lot of people getting knocked down into the lower bracket, that first match, that Haven was crazy. But then you got to see as we headed into Breeze and then Lotus, a team that started really just tightening up their approach, right? We got to see an SRB that started coordinating a lot better. They weren't making those little mistakes that put them in this position in the first place. And to be able to end off that final map in the series in a 13-1 fashion to eliminate NRGA from the tournament, I mean, it's a heartbreaking way to say goodbye to NRG Academy, but at the same time, for Shopify Rebellion, you know that they have to feel good and kind of like renewed with confidence going on forward now. They were one of the favorites going into all of this, and to finally get rid of those little mistakes, we'll have to see how much like they can really show up with such a big match ahead of them today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ebb and flow of this roster for the SRB specifically has been so crazy to see, right? Like sometimes they look shaky, but sometimes they look like the best team in the league, right? And it's kind of they've been sort of ebb and flowing between these two things. And I think the line is pretty much drawn thin, right? Like nobody really wants to go to the LCQ. No one really wants to. Obviously, some teams would love to be in the LCQ. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in the sense that like it's a lot safer of an approach to just go straight into play-ins. And I think looking at this bracket, like M80 obviously has a chance to do it, but it's still no one is safe. There's really nothing. There's no safe haven for anyone, right? Like you want to win grand finals. That is the goal for all these teams. Going to LCQ, there's no guarantees right there.
I mean, at least M80 has a little bit of a safe haven because, again, we've talked so much about play-ins and the stakes for this entire tournament, right? And, of course, whoever wins Stage 3 gets to go to play-ins right away, right? Whoever has the most circuit points then goes to LCQ. M80, even if they lose that grand finals, they'll have enough circuit points to, I mean, then get that LCQ spot, right? So really a lot of the pressure here today, and they do want to win, of course. Getting play-ins as opposed to LCQ is just better, but at least they're in somewhat. Whereas for Shopify Rebellion Black and for SAD Esports, stakes just a smidge different. I mean, SAD Esports, right? They have to win the entire thing. And Shopify Rebellion Black, they're not out if they lose, but their fate won't really be in their own hands anymore.
Yeah, and just for the viewer's sake as well, it's probably good that we clarify that the teams that have the stars next to them, SRB, M80, and SAD Esports, those are the teams that are still, competing. They're still alive in the playoffs. So their points haven't solidified just yet. That's why we see Core at the top, is because their position has solidified officially. But for SRB and M80, they're very much guaranteed to be going to either play-ins or LCQ. But for SAD Esports, the only way in is through. So it has to be just shut out. So it's going to be exciting. These last 3 matches are going to dictate a lot. And again, the entire year has pretty much led up to this moment here. These guys have been fighting for their lives. They've been recreating themselves, reinventing themselves, changing their rosters, fixing their map pool, adapting to the metas. All that frustration, all these things have all led to this moment, and it is so exciting.
And it is time to get started here with the lower finals of Valorant Challengers. SAD Esports going up against Shopify Rebellion Black. A match between one of the favorites coming in and one of the dark horses that we knew had the potential to take it all. And of course, Roy, we've gotten to see these two teams face off very, very recently. Again, it was sad to knock SRB down into the lower bracket, but a best of 5 rematch ahead means we're going to have a banger in sight.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, just the amount of data that's available as well for these teams, right? Like knowing what they're up to now, like there's really not a lot of mind games remaining, maybe like a map, maybe one here and there. But overall, it feels like the familiarity between these two teams, the adaptability for these teams, and just like the spirit of the underdog lives on with SAD Esports. And for SRB, they were built to win. They were that team. So overall, this is such an exciting match. And I feel like I'm so torn, okay? I am very torn between how I want this to go. A part of me says, yeah, SRB, make it all the way. I want to see some crazy Valorant, but at the same time, SAD Esports has looked so exciting. And in their last match, Sierra, it was the absolute back and forth, and SAD Esports stepping up to the plate and performed so well in this matchup. And we kind of got to see everything here as well, right? Like we got to see the individuals, we got to see the X factor that oozes from SAD Esports, the skin, and for SRB, obviously they were fighting for their lives as well. And just the back and forth between these two teams was insane.
I love that you call out the X factor, because that's exactly what I think of when I think of SAD Esports, right? Like when this team is on, like they are cooking, like they have such a high ceiling. But I feel like one of the things that we keep talking about is some inconsistencies for the team. Like when SAD Esports struggle, they have some struggles, of course. But even just looking at the last match and how they were able to close out the series, they were just firing on all cylinders. And if that's the SAD Esports we get to see today, I'm so excited for it. But even just on the flip side, I mean, SRB was very open with the fact that they thought this series lost was mistake after mistake after mistake when they were looking at the VOD reviews, right? Mistakes that were just so weird and shouldn't be happening, to an extent of like, surely like that doesn't happen again today.
Hopefully. I mean, you would think, right? I mean, it's really hard to say, because I feel like pressure is really what causes these kind of errors, right? Like we're all human ultimately. Like you can drill all these things, you can practice as much as you want, you can be as clean and as disciplined as you want to be, but under pressure, that's really where these mistakes happen. So ideally, historically speaking, going off data here, SRB has usually bounced back very well from their losses, and I'm expecting to see that here as well. But I mean, anything could happen. It's the gloves are off, right?
Anything could happen. And I mean, SAD Esports was the team to really be able to prove that. And talking a little bit more about the roster in particular, like let's break this down. I feel like the level up we've gotten to see across the board, this is a team we've praised a lot for that firepower, right? When you have Vita and Paint on a squad, how could you not necessarily talk about that, right? But the consistency from Paint, the step up from Zaj at any point, and of course, Welly's calling here, Roy, like this team on paper has looked so good, and the wins that they strung along as well, like at some points, they just kind of look unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, they've racked up an insane resume on their way to this point, right? Like, they've taken down so many good teams. They've had close games against the top teams in the league. Like, it's been so wild to see this roster. And I mean, they started as an underdog roster, right? Like, no one really talked a lot about them coming into this split. And here we are now. They're at least guaranteed third, and they're 2 BO5s away from potentially qualifying for play-in. So, yes, an underdog roster, yes. An X-Factor roster, yes. But I feel like the viewer should not be fooled, right? Like, this roster is not all aim. They're really strategically sound, and they have a lot of, you know, kind of low-key experience, right? Like, a lot of these players have been competing for a while in tier 2 and tier 3, and yeah, they've defeated SRB as well, obviously recently in the upper bracket. So I mean, this roster has everything I feel like they have the camaraderie, they have the friendship, the vibes are there, they're all young and talented, and I feel like overall this roster, as the meta is fit right into their laps, and I feel like right now they're in a really good spot to contend this. And in a BO5, I mean, at that point, there's no excuses, right? You have 5 maps to display yourself. You have 5 maps to show up. You cannot have an off map. You cannot have an off day. This is it.
I mean, even if it was an underdog roster, it definitely doesn't have underdog players. And there has been players on this team that we've talked about a lot. And that's where we got to narrow in on Paint. Like, I mean, we've said it pretty frank throughout all the playoffs, right? Paint has been a little inconsistent. But I look back at the last time these two teams faced and look at
Beast
the crazy, like, yeah, it was crazy, especially too in that all-decisive map number 3 of Ascent. I mean, he was just on one when he was on the KO of all things, right? So if we get that Paint today, like when this guy turns it up, he turns it up, and that could cause so many issues for SRB.
Oh, for sure. I mean, in this series specifically, like, don't get me wrong, he's been a standout player almost this entire split. Like, yeah, he's been a little bit inconsistent, but overall, I feel like he's had impact in a lot of the matches that SAD Esports has had. Obviously, there's been a lot of other players stepping up as well. It's not really just Paint, but I think the highlight specifically of this player comes into mind because the last time these two teams played, he went sicko mode on that 3rd map, and he was like the reason why they were able to barely edge it out. Was it 13-11 or 13-10? Can't remember, but it was such a close game overall. And I feel like for Paint, he went nuclear, and he always has these maps as well. Like, just randomly, he just goes like crazy on them, right? And I feel like if that's the version of Paint we're getting, even on 1 or 2 maps, if he does that on 3 maps, just give him the MVP and let's just move on with it. But yeah, he's been a beast. He's so well-rounded. He's very communicative. He's X-Factor. He's got the vibes. Like, he's a very complete player. And I think overall, he fits right into this roster, and he's been a huge contributor to their wins.
I mean, anyone who's watched Challengers and got to watch that one Haven map with Paint will forever have that etched into their memory. Like, it's just, again, when this guy turns up, it's incredible for the team. But talking about Shopify Rebellion Black, again, this has been a team that there's a lot of expectations on going into playoffs, right? For a lot of good reasons. It was a team that has really, really been able to showcase the most of each of their individual players. And again, Roy, I mean, there's a reason that they're a favorite to still take this, even if they had to been fighting out through this lowers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this roster was built to win, Sierra, from the beginning of this entire year, right? Yeah, they pulled the young VCT players in Nature and Xander, and they built an absolute powerhouse. But it hasn't been a smooth ride, sure. But overall, I feel like they've managed to bounce back. They've been one of the more consistent teams in the league. They've at least, they've made grand finals twice. And overall, I feel like this roster just has everything they need. They have Effies, they have the coaching staff, of course. They have Oders as well. They have Nature and Xander as the experience. They got Satellite, Smoke, and Exa as kind of like the young guns. Everything they need, they have within this roster. Yes, the expectations and the pressure is also very high as a result. But in terms of having the tools that you need to construct the winning roster, it's all here.
I mean, 3rd time's the charm, right? They made finals back to back. Surely they can get there and win it all this time. But I mean, been the big changes that we've seen going into stage number 3 here has been, again, highlighting this young talent on the team. And talking about Smoke, that's been exactly it. Like, the team's been very upfront with, we're enabling him. Like, he's slow, he's methodical. Like, he always has this scope weapon, this op in his hands, but for good reason. I mean, what he's able to accomplish with it is incredible in the matches, and one of the biggest win cons for the team.
No, I think incredible doesn't even do him justice, like somehow. Like it's a very strong word and it still doesn't seem like it does him justice. I don't know if this is a crazy take, but I genuinely think that Smoke is a top opper in the world, not just in North America, not just in tier 2. And I feel like he's at least one of the like top 2 most exciting players along Neon, right? Who's like these young, really like superstar oppers. And just look at his first kill, first death ratios, man. They're just so nasty. And he's so good with the scope weapons. He's an absolute force. And I feel like he's changed the dynamic on every map where he's playing Chamber, where he's playing Jet. Like you can't ignore him. You know what I mean? Like he's not someone that you could have a game plan and not take into account. And I think that the aura that he has when it comes down to these things, I mean, just speaks for itself. The stats are just a bonus.
It's been incredible. And even the maps where, you know, kind of gets shut down a little bit or like isn't able to completely pop off with the op, like the rest of the team's able to stand up. Like the team's just a multi-pronged approach. When Smoke gets to drop that 25 to 30 kills, it's just a bonus. But casual. Like to be able to see, like, just casually see how they're been able to like incorporate him and build around him has just been so incredible. And of course, have to look to a little bit of the leadership for that, but not just for one team, but for both. With their Phillips and Norelco head to head, we had to highlight the callers going into today's series, especially with it being a best of 5. It is going to be so crucial. The fact that they have such recent history, of course, well, like calling such a good game up against SRB to be able to take this win. Now a lot on Nature to be calling to not just be able to take them down, but in a best of 5 where you know that, I mean, Sad's going to have done their homework. Yeah. I mean, let's start with Nature, okay? He, has been individually performing so crazy this entire year, especially this split. He's been such a standout player for this roster. He's been a big reason to why they've won a lot of maps. Ignore the calling, okay? Just purely on an individual level, he stepped up massively for this roster. I think the IGL tax that he's been paying has been getting lower and lower with every single match they've played. I think the reps are very much showing. But in terms of calling, in terms of experience, like this guy is such a good caller. Like the macros are always on point. It really doesn't feel like he's making a lot of calling errors in terms of like calling the team into wrong setups or like calling the wrong defensive ideas. It really does feel like Nature has a really good, you know, pulse on the game and on the meta. And I feel like he's in such a good spot in overall for this roster. And then you look on the other side, Welly, like, yeah, maybe his stats don't look as crazy, but he's leading in a complete underdog roster to this level. He's helping in the mid round, and even Welly's had pop-off moments, right? He's had these pop-off games as well. So it hasn't really just been like he's just a calling, you know, warrior in the jungle. Like, no, he's active. Like he's doing a lot. He's very clutchable, and he's bringing so much to it. And I feel like how he's feeling is going to matter a lot in this matchup. And I mean, he's had a lot of confidence, having talked to him after their past victories and stuff, like talking about revenge, or we should have won this, or this shouldn't have been close. So I'm so excited to see how that's going to translate going into the server today. Again, this is our lower final, so it's a best of 5 up ahead. No place really to hide as we head into our map picks and bans. And this is always interesting because I say no place to hide. If there's any flaws with your map pool, you really won't be able to hide that. You can with your one. SRB have been banning a lot of Fracture, not surprised for that. Sad has been really active with those banning something that's good for the opposing team, so Breeze is off the list. But I'm very intrigued about these first 3 maps, Troy.
I'm also intrigued for the first 3 maps. Okay, let's go chronologically speaking here. Lotus is so interesting. I'm not surprised to see it picked. It's looked like SRB's best map right now, undeniably. But it's also a map that SAD Esports hasn't quite had, you know, the results they were hoping for, right? They're 0-2 on the map. Of course, their 2 losses have been to M80 and SRB. So it's, I mean, those are not too bad of losses. But in terms of just like the contrast between the Lotus performances and just on the paper record, I mean, this is an SRB sided map for sure. And then you look at Split. This is where it starts to get weird for me, Sierra. Okay, because you look at Split, it's a map that both teams are really good on. Like it's not like a weak map. Like Lotus is different, right? Because it's a weak map for SAD Esports, but for SRB they're comfortable. But Split's a little bit weird because it's a good map for both teams. I mean, SRB, they're 3-0 on the map, and this is SAD Esports' pick. SAD Esports has played it twice. They're also undefeated, so it's kind of a 50-50 map in my eyes. And then we go into Pearl, where SRB hasn't really played that map in a while. I don't even know what composition they're running even, and I feel like it's such a wild card. It's going to be kind of hard to expect, and kind of hard to know what to expect on that map. And of course for SAD Esports, their Pearl has looked quite good. They've had their only loss was to M80, and it was a really close game. Yes, this was yesterday. It was a 9-13, which could have gone either way. So I mean, the Pearl pick makes sense, but there's a lot of like question marks regarding that.
I'm I'm very just stuck on this, because last time we saw them face, it was Haven in a sense that Sad was able to beat out SRB, and that's 4 and 5 in the series, right? I feel like for Sad Esports, getting through that first half of the day is going to be a difficult, but at least they have a little bit of a caster curse on their side. I mean, I feel like, Roy, we've been pretty upfront through a lot of this. Let's not lie now. SRB definitely favorites coming into this. They were for the entire playoffs bracket, but it'll be interesting to see if they can repeat that going on to Lotus, or what Sad Esports can really switch up and how they play it to take them down.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think we're already seeing the swap from the last time these two teams played, right? It was the Phoenix on the other side of Sad Esports. They've swapped it up. They were kind of into a more comfortable composition, a more familiar composition. So it's a slow-paced comp. But of course, for me, Sierra, on this map, it's always eyes on Smoke on the SRB side. He is such a force on that chamber. His stats on this map are disgusting. And for Sad Esports, they have to come up with game plans. Hopefully, their swapping comps is not going to throw them off, because they will be tested not only mechanically, but they'll also be tested strategically. We highlighted Nature's experience. We highlighted the experience overall on this SRB roster. So for Sad Esports and for SRB, it's an absolute battle right here on this first map.
And I love that we get to see Vita switching from that Neon into the Raze to really be able to capitalize off of, I mean, just synergy with the team. So it's time to see, heading into Lotus, if it will be enough. This is the first map of the best of 5 lower finals. It's time to see if it can be Sad Esports to get off to a strong start, or Shopify Rebellion Black to run back a win. Let's get started with your casters. Let's send it over to Lemon Kiwi and Van Silly.
Thank you, Sierra. Yes, for Shopify, it's about revenge and redemption. For Sad, a resurgence to become reality. And they both survived the lower bracket, but Sad will need to beat them again to silence these Titans for good. And starting on the same map as their last encounter, Vans, the script writes itself.
This game for Sad Esports and Shopify Rebellion Black, they both have to treat this game like a grand finals. For Sad Esports, as Ades has mentioned, they have to try to win it all. For SRB, is just to at least alleviate a little bit of pressure, to guarantee at least the LCQ if they can make it to the grand finals, which is why it's going to be super important, especially going against a team of Sad Esports that knocked them down. But yes, Lemon Kiwi, this is a great map for SRB to start with, because they've been unstoppable on this map. Roy talked about how Smoke was so good on this map, or is so good on this map. My eyes are also on Exa on the attack side. He is the final boss of the A side control and lurks. That probably has to be a win con for Sad Esports to overtake.
I know the stats for Smoke do not speak enough to how much of an impact he had yesterday. You guys missed cinema. 13-1 is how SRB ended that series yesterday on this map. Very good at ending series on Lotus. We'll see if they can kick it off. And a haunt thrown Sad's way, already marking a good stack of SRB on this side of the map. It's not going to force any kind of progression through A or anything like that. And SRB are collect their orb and go hunting elsewhere.
It's still very good, though. They went for a flash haunt to get full information on B side, yet nobody added pressure on C or tempoed up. So Sad Esports knows that there's some sort of a mid pivot towards the A side to start, especially when they confirm with the Prowler at the 1 minute. Now you see this lean. The stall from SRB is huge, because now they could sell the fake on the A site to hit B in the late round.
Paranoia just barely whistling by Exa in that moment. This is such a slow pistol too. SRB, this has been one of their weaker points, to be honest, but still they're able to force the distance, even against NRG Academy. They'll lose pistols and even a bonus, and SRB will still be able to force an overtime. Now, Sad holding it down. Haunt thrown to check out B. They're suspicious. SRB being marked. That is the opening kill going to Satellite. Traded though. SRB, you got to get moving. It's 10 seconds. They've made the space, and now they have to set up. They have to protect this planter. They'll do so with the smoke. And Pain is on the other side looking in, and they're all ready to greet them. And Smoke's not going to waste any time as SRB opens up our Lotus with a pistol.
Sierra and Roy have talked about how the battle of the IGLs are going to be super important in this game as well. A BO5, something that's fairly new for somebody like Welly as well, to have a Nicole into a BO5. But yet, I still really like what we saw here from both of the IGLs and what they were calling. So for the cut noise for SRB, fake towards the A side, but then force Sad to just hold as long as they could and say, look, we still have our wall. We don't have to overcommit towards fighting towards that B side yet, and we could flood retake into the refight. Didn't pan out in their favor in the end at the end of the day because SRB had better weapons, but at least they still stayed calm and collected in the pistol round, which is nice to see going into Spiel 5.
Very good resistance from Sad. Now it's just good use of the utility. High-low, look at this trap play. SRB being exposed. The Marshall did not pierce enough there for Smoke, but it's the power of friendship and the layers of SRB that you have to peel back. Sad, though, it was a nice attempt in that eco to try and wrestle against SRB, but still converted in the end to SRB.
Yeah, so we see the plan from Sad at the Sad Esports at the beginning, right? They were looking to play the information game and then just go for stacks and flood retakes because the pistol round with the util that they have would allow for them to do that. Now this is where it gets important. When you get into these gun rounds, you cannot give the same type of space as SRB has just gone in the last 2 rounds. So you have to contest for some lanes. So it starts up here on the A side where it's perfect to actually have Smoke to look out first because he could TP away from all the flood util to try to fight towards the A main.
Oh, body shot, yeah, against that armor. Smoke is quick to disengage. He is not greedy in trade after trade. SRB can never get momentum going even with these first bloods. Losing Satellite to your main duelist, won't be able to explode into the site. And when you got a lot of hoops to jump through, whether it's the thorns of this Vise or whatever could be waiting for you, we'll see how SRB are going to navigate this.
It's nice, though. You always see this tandem duel fight. Oh, that was a little bit unfortunate. I think they were expecting for the wall to come up, at least the Viper wall to come up on the defensive side so that Exa could jump and bait that wall. But now that might force the hand here of SRB to just try to finish towards C, where they already have 2 players here from Sad.
Sanders made his way into the site and he has a paranoia and wants to wait for the team to follow through so they can fight in a leverage position. I'm worried about Sad maybe opening this B-Link door. It'll be about timing here for Welly as that IGL makes that call. SRB an almost standstill. Even that Vise flash from Zaj, if they wanted to fight, it's who's going to be pulling the trigger first. A chess match. The pawns get into position. The elbow spotted there from Smoke. Not a single shot from Sad. In response, the patience is there. The plant seems to be able to go through. Now that B-Link door is open, Welly's starting to get active. This is where the pressure is starting to mount. Sad tries to utilize Zaj there, and every angle that Sad has taken has been shut down. The paranoia from Paint did not even reach SRB or enough to really shake them. Because right now, the post plant seems to be ironclad. You got a high-low, Paint on the approach. Worst case scenario, Paint will have a lot to try and overcome, and Nature will confirm the bonus.
Well, a huge answer back from SRB in the mid round. That was a 3 versus 4. Then all 3 of them stayed alive when they had to overcommit and just count on their luck to win the Seaside fight for Shopfire Rebellion Black. Because again, the game plan for Sad was actually quite nice. They still try to take down the tandem work that Smoke and Exa likes to do towards the A side as well. I talked about how Exa is final boss on the A side lurks, but in the last couple of matches, they have been doing a lot of the Smoke TP, Exa take the space, and then punish the players that are not paying attention to those lanes. And Exa got a nice first blood out of that. At the end of the day, it comes down here to SRB still staying very tight-knit and good mechanically to trade off with each other and play off of each other in the post plant that allows for them to get a nice bonus round and put Sad back into another eco.
Smoke has the Outlaw this time and could be absolutely feasting as he will be in rubble. You have more of a safer Exa lurk as SRB are still noting those tendencies of where this Vise wall is going to be. Like you pointed out, it was at B main last time. Wonder if it's going to swap over to C. Right now, SRB not encountering as much of a pushback from Sad. They are on the lookout for that trap play they saw on Sad's last eco, but it's going to be a completely free right side of the map.
Just a gamble that they had. You see the flash being placed at the same spot as the pistol round for Sad Esports. They're hoping for a tapped orb, go for a trap play because Satellite's only 2 orbs away from getting his ult. So if they wanted to play a little bit more safer SRB for that round, then Sad would be ready to trap in that spot. End of the day, though, it's a plant towards the A site, and it should be still an easy round for SRB.
Yeah, Sad went for the ultimate wraparound to give up the site. SRB being proactive, not spotting anyone through the defender's spawn. So staircase, flank, these are all threats. SRB huddled down behind the scope. Smoke will confirm one. Knows there's trouble in front. Sad still rotating around, and SRB are on the lookout. They're watching every side as the pistols try to poke and prod. Pain confirms too, and that's not too bad, forcing SRB to take a seat. But at the end, it's a 4-round win streak that continues.
And even better than that, if it is for SRB, when Satellite has 1 HP remaining, ideally you wanted him to have more HP to start hunting for kills so to get the showstopper in this round, especially going to Vita the Delita with an operator this round as well on the defense. Now with that 1 HP, he picks up the last 2 kills as he baits his teammates in a good way, because it allows for them to get a huge piece of util to play against this other gun round of SAD Esports. This might give a chance here for SRB to run away with the 6-0 scoreline if they could actually topple the op that's currently being set up towards the A side line.
Early op 2 from Smoke, and you know exactly what he could do with it. They like to switch up these 4-1 lurks, focusing on the perimeter. Showstopper, Satellite. Oh, the splash! No, not getting Zaj, but still forcing him into the line of sight of Xander. The opening kill not traded this time. Sad will be just waiting. Xander at 11 HP. No one is turning around from him. Sad are focused more on the retake. And Smoke is pointing out that Omen did not teleport towards their spawn. They still have no idea. Now Sad are starting to panic. And Pain, he's paving his way. Xander gets 3. SRB starting to panic, but Clock, the time is on their side, and Xander is really not pushing until this moment. Vita will find him, but that took so much time to dislodge that flanker that Sad are just gonna save.
That was such a huge play by Xander. I think it was praised multiple times from casting duos to analyst desk in the past few days of how good he's been just as a smoke anchor for SRB. But this time it was actually a playmaker, getting on top of the wall to actually get the confirmed kill for paint onto the site rather, and then is able to TP out into the spawn all the way from the C site link to get a double kill on top of that as well. That does not give a chance here for SAD Esports to flood back into the site. And it looks like a very good round. And sorry, it was Zash that was actually playing that Vice inside that A side that got toppled down by that Xander kill. But yeah, this is such an important timeout coming through here for SAD Esports, because as much as we talk about how good SRB has been on this map of Lotus, what we're currently seeing today in this matchup against SAD is also still brand new. All these plays that are being drafted out so far by SRB has not been like the most common thing coming out from Shopify in the last few matches that they played on Lotus. So props here as well to Effys and to Odorous on the amount of work that they're putting into this BO5.
Yeah, you see kind of this level of depth from SRB, usually deeper into a series, and usually Lotus is deeper into that series. And Xander, the way he's flanking all the time, that's usually his style when he's playing on Haven. And to bring this out on Lotus this early, like teleporting into their spawn, is pretty nuts. And Sad were just hoping to ignore it, but the problem was still in their side in the end. And it was an investment for SRB, you know, the showstopper, despite not getting the direct kill, it still fed them a kill as Aj just jumped out into SRB. So if SRB can keep puppeteering Sad into the positions that they want, these have been some pretty favorable fights for SRB the last 2 rounds without a trade necessarily for SRB. Vita, though, with the defensive op, Smoke already getting out of dodge, but can't say the same about Satellite.
Smoke actually stayed there for a split second more. He would have probably gotten that kill onto Vita, but it is indeed a first blood scored by SAD Esports. I was just about to say as well, because of the timeout from SAD, and also because Vita shot the op in the previous round, they knew what they were up against here for SRB going into this round number 6. So the game plan was just to go head-to-head against Vita and Smoke, and hopefully for SRB to start off with the first blood. But it's actually another disadvantageous position for SRB going into the round.
Vita was a difference maker on Pearl. When he has a sniper in hand, you have to try and mark him at all times. That'll be the mind games between him and Smoke. So now the delay is SRB. Sometimes like to teleport Xander in, but it's a fake this time. Sad know of it. They may just have to clear this corner real quick. They'll have the protection of the smoke, but this B-Link door is causing some panic. But SRB, they lock in, they stay kill. They kind of inspired them to go in, and Welly found his moment to strike, and here is the sandwich, the pain sandwich at that. Sad looking to get on the board, finally ending that 5-round win streak.
Big round by Pain. And of course, it comes down to SAD Esports on the rotate across as well to finally add an extra body as they open up the revolving door, not just having Welly solo tap in that door. And it allowed for here Paint to get a nice little combo with Welly for them to open the door and get the picks on SRB, trying to go for a fast pivot on that C side again. And Xander, look at that. Another opening play that he makes here on the top of that boxes to overlook the C site. But it was just a reaction from SAD right after, because there was no pressure from SRB in front of the B site that allowed for them to move in quickly.
Tough too. Like the Nightfall didn't get to, SRB didn't get to materialize their plan. And now I wonder, is Exa going to adjust to try and give them a B lurk so that this door doesn't continue to be a lethal threat to their C approach? Because the delays from the Vi's have been fantastic. Vita pushed off the angle, still stepping forth, being now heard. 2 ops are still in the equation, but wait a minute, Welly, oh, he's gonna maybe play it in cover a bit safer, but that could have been a big moment for him.
Now the question marks are being placed around the map though, because you are trying to find information in front of that B site. You're forced to fall back, and also SRB has already tapped the door on the A site early in the round. So right now, SAD, they're gonna have to start using a lot of util to start re-clearing space, or at least this could be a perfect fake being sold right now by SRB on that C side line. Already 2 players. You hear the TP calling back. You spot Vita at this point too. That might call the re-pivot towards the A site once again.
Haven't gotten the paranoia out of Paint though, so SRB not fully satisfied with this approach, but Exa and Smoke, they gotta make magic happen, and Smoke is lost on how to respond to who took out his teammate on this A push. So now trying to follow through against Welly, who's been the B anchor in the past. Full util available. The C's may have caught this duelist by surprise. The Haunt is thrown, the Boombot to suppress. 10 seconds left. SRB going for the plant, and Sadar smoked off the angle. So a moment to breathe for SRB in a 4v5 post plan. Smoke evens up the odds, but Pain lines it up, gets the op down. And SAD, now they have just opened the door to coming back into this round. Vita's at 9 HP. The Nightfall leads Welly and the rest into the charge. Paranoia as well. Satellite is marked. He'll hold it down into the trenches as Xander gets another 3K.
My God, SRB and these post plan in lower numbers are looking really good here. SAD, again, had a great read. They pushed everybody into the right spots. It's just because SRB pushed them back and to enforce them to turtle. Look at those lines at that replay. 2 players anchored up towards C, 2 players anchored up towards the A side. It allows for them to finish towards this B side. Even if they lose Exa in the process, it still gives them enough time to set up here in the post plant scenario to fight against the rotates across. So SAD, man, they have to turn up the tempo a little bit more in terms of being confident on holding angles and staying in those spots so that they don't get caught into these scenarios where they have to retake it to different areas with no map control.
And having a one-sided op, or actually Vita now has one too, you cannot let Smoke go uncontested here, because then you have to invest so much more util to pressure that op off the line, because more often than not, Smoke is not going to miss that shot. And he's even getting value off Marshals and Outlaw. He converts a kill every round, the scoped weapon in hand. This breakable door, though, has been an issue for SRB to cross. They know that there's been some trap plays here in the past. Now trying to create that chaos. SRB carefully crossing over, using their Viper's wall to stop that line of sight. But as it comes down, the dominoes come crashing down. Vita with the pick. Exa will not take this laying down. But this does pave the way for a B plant if this planter can get out safely, which thanks to that Omen smoke, they will. And the Viper's pit will reinforce.
Pain has no Omen smokes right now either, so he can't smoke himself out to try to flank towards that front B site. So the other 2 have to start activating a little bit more. And actually, with smoke falling, that gives a window. Look at the lurk coming out from Paint. They're going to try to find this time in a move with the Vice ult to flood back inside this pit.
Just going to have to stick it through. They will stand united, and then they will fall together as well. Anything off the haunt, Paranoia, SRB being shaken. Let's see if their shell can maintain. The shot could have closed. You can't defuse in front of them, but Pain will paint the walls, but at 5 HP, Exa will just be better. And that was so scary. They were able to turtle up like that and still defend.
At the end of the day, the scoreline, I think, unfortunately, doesn't give justice as to how good SAD is playing this defensive line. They're doing such a great job to contest SRB at the very beginning of these rounds, but in the post-plant scenarios, it's tough for them to retake in the end. Look at how they actually went for the Vice ult and then tried to flit in, but then all 3 players of SRB held up on the top of heaven because nobody was able to rotate on that side from the top of CT to really move into a B spot. So SRB had 3 players inside the pit. They could just play with their pistols as well inside the pit. If people are going to try to walk in, they're going to get DK'd. And now, yeah, they're changing the tempo. Look at that from Vita. A nice little attempt, but he gets swatted out from midair right away.
And the spacing, too, to almost predict that this was going to happen. Knowing the showstopper could have been a play, and even then, desperation from SAD. Xander has something else up their sleeve. That won't be the only opportunity SAD go for, but jumping out, Satellite, I mean, what a Paranoia too, thrown out. SAD tried to hinder SRB, thinking they had a sense of safety to leave after that pick, but only Satellite falls, and SRB looking like they could confirm another round.
Yeah, this is the first time now for me, and at least in my eyes, that I see SRB taking a little bit of a step ahead into the conditioning of what SAD Esports was trying to do here on their eco. Because they've been opening consistently here, smoking next towards the A side. You saw here that Vito was trying to go for that trap play, at least trying to catch them off guard by going for the solo play to Satchel right into the rocks to try to get a kill at the entrance of the A main. But instead, they waited out towards the spawn, they get the punished, and then they fight back here and take full control of the A Rubble side. So yeah, SRB 8-1 scoreline. You're starting to see also the reason why SRB are unstoppable here on this very map, because every single thing that they're coming out with in terms of their attack side has always been very good on Lotus.
And I mean, just last night, we witnessed SRB winning this map 13-1. They've closed out a lot of these pivotal lower bracket series on Lotus. And Smokey's here to play. And it's taken a lot out of SAD Arsenal to make this guy sweat. You can see it in his cams. I mean, this guy's not even blinking. SRB very comfortable at how they're not only able to absorb SAD's pressure, but to enact their own script. Paranoia out, Paint will teleport out as well. The Viswell will create even more delay on this side of the map. Smoke will try to open up opportunities on the other side. We'll see how SRB gonna try and trigger this wall if they can do so safely.
Yeah, that's the name right now from SRB side. Are they going to try to call to bait the wall here on that C side, because they're adding a little bit more for SAD Esports to turn it all up here, expecting that an SRB is going to finish over on C. But after this, Prowler is going to come up towards that front B main line. Then maybe you could start seeing that that wall getting baited out.
Yeah, thankfully you have Smoke at B, so you're not going to get backstabbed, not this time. And using the Xander ult to be really close within the site, he's going to stick it, and SRB flood in behind him. And it takes an army to take down SAD, but it's still another C plant. SAD on the other side of Vita with a showstopper, waiting for these pieces to get in position while he is still on his way. And Vita doesn't want to waste any time after hearing the planter in the backline. Hits, SAD, advance. And they'll even do so with Pain getting a double kill. SRB's post plane is all up to the lurk, and the defuse is just going to go through in front of his eyes. And the shot needs to happen here and now, and he gets it done. But SAD have time now that the defuse is halfway. Whew, that came down to the wire.
That was so close. Pain almost fell asleep at the wheel as well, because that barrel of the Dodo Fuss was showing out when Smoke was moving up towards that ramp, yet he never reacted to it. But thankfully was able to trade that towards the end to get the defuse. But that becomes a nice retake in the end for SAD Esports, because for me, it looked like there was a little bit of a missed time from SRB when they were executing towards that seaside. Usually you want to mask the Omen TP through the Nightfall, yet somehow Xander still sticks it and still gets a pick before they overtake the site. But as you said, Vita wanted to be a little bit more quicker because he found the timing. Gets a couple of openers with Pain on the flood back, which allows here a 2v1 in the end. So I like that.
Haunt and Xander, these close teleports to just kind of act as a pseudo duelist. Take that space quickly. Boombot revealing how close SRB are. On top, the orb tap. And of course, you're going to have Zaj that can call out if B will be the commit. He has a judge to try and suppress that. Satellite will be on his way, and Zaj is an unfamiliar neighbor, and it just is one problem at a time, but the showstopper, nothing the judge can do against that. A quick plant. The Viper's Pit from Pain at C will not have value this time. 2 versus 2 as the door opens. Pain unleashes the paranoia of nature. Quicker to the trigger, as quick as lightning. As SRB's post plant, will it maintain? They have the man advantage. Paranoia just to try and disrupt, but you, SRB, look as focused as ever. Welly steps into the arena in the midst of 3 players on the perimeter. And he still has to discover where they are, even with the isolation. Xander's shooting a lot of bodies. He is heating up.
I mean, he's been heating up this whole tournament as well. In the last victories that SRB has gotten since this lower bracket, Xander has always been at the top of the scoreboard. So yeah, as much as we're praising how good Smoke and Exa is, for example, for SRB, Xander has sort of gone under the radar in terms of players to talk about when we're pre-pressing these matches, right? We always talk about the big ops and like the entries that young fraggers could have, but the experience here that Xander brings to the table in these playoff moments has always been such a huge X factor for SRB in this stage number 3. So yeah, currently at 17-4, almost a nice little pick. Well, actually, he did hit him full. Zaj only has 10 HP remaining, so at least they have the information that Smokey's leaning towards that C site first. That could allow potentially Sad to take a little bit more space towards A instead and punish Exa. But yeah, this is a tough round for Sad to take, right? Despite them winning that round in round number 10, they lose this one here to back on an eco because their money wasn't great.
After spotting Smoke, they thought it was another 4-1. Sad started rotating it to A, and this completely left Zaj and friends out to dry when they already took so much damage. Now the Nightfall, I mean, Nature's fighting his own demons over here, and he is winning, sending Sad 6 feet under, basically on his own, a 3K. But Sad only have paint left, and it ends up being a flawless and a 10-2 half, basically flawless there too.
Definitely seeing SRB being a lot cleaner here in the last couple of rounds as well. Where I was mentioning before, the scoreline didn't really give SAD Esports any real justice into the gameplay so far of that first half. It was those retakes attempted by SAD that didn't really pay out in their favor when they were trying to fight the defensive side. Hopefully they have a better chance here on the attack, but SRB, they're well primed here to close out this first map. Again, looking at the BO5, Lotus being picked by SRB was basically going to be, at least for a lot of fans, looking at this matchup from the outside in, an easy victory for the first map to kick things off into BO5. But I think later on, once we start getting into that third map, fourth map potentially, that's where, as Sad for me, could probably bring this back and maybe push this into a 5-mapper.
The conditioning that SRB have been doing off of Smoke has really caught Sad for a loop. The Prowler took a bite out of someone to seize to force Sad back. We're happy to just know that the Fade is in the middle of the map. Getting eyes now. Pain is looking to see what are the numbers on the right side of the map. What is looking like the best opportunity here for Sad, as this is a must-win pistol, or we might as well just think about map 2.
And so far though, I'm liking how Sad is moving around the map too. Audio cues, baiting the noise, trying to see if players are gonna peek out. They could trade off each other right away. They're looking for like even Vice flashes as they open up the door to see if they could contest onto Mound. Have that insert of the lurk from Pain that opens up a first blood once again for SAD Esports against SRB. And look at that, it forces to rotate out from Xander. That gives a chance now for SAD to open up the C site, freely take it, and force a flood retake from SRB, or force retake in the end.
Xander has nothing in his arsenal. He's just gonna face this head on, and Satellite is smoked off. They couldn't even be a duo. Xander goes 1 for 1. It's not too bad. Nature will trickle in as well. At the end, SRB regroup, but Sad haven't planted. Maybe SRB can prevent this. They are low. They're going to force the issue, and Vita is an issue. He's already gotten 3. Pain with the other 2. Sad against all odds. They will get the pistol.
Great pistol round for Sad in the end, but somehow I'm quite surprised of how long Xander stayed alive on the top of that pillar. He finds his timing by walking through on top of the ramp. Nobody's checking his spots. And because of that single position, he could actually call here for his team that nobody's pushing out towards spawn. So the others could actually knife out, start rotating a little bit more quickly so that they could actually try to catch SAD Esports off guard. But unfortunately, Xander couldn't get more than one, which still gives SAD a huge player's advantage on that pulse plant and allowed for them to sub the crossfire and the victory in the end for SAD to potentially, hopefully, come back here in the second half with a great start on the pistol. You see that the buy in the second round is actually very costly. An outlaw, a vandal, trying to get their early round pressure against SRB, but SRB are not showing their hand here of where their stack could potentially be on this map.
Xander's fearless. I mean, 2 Prowlers sent his way and he was still jump peeking, and a bulk of Welly's kills have been on this Guardian. That B-Link play was a huge round for SAD, and it forced SRB to have to adjust their game plan to react to Welly, but Smoke is as clean as ever. Pain removed from the lurk. The commit is clear. SAD checked the close corner with the boom bot. Now it's time to send Vita in, or even Paint, but doing so carefully. Flash, Xander, gonna be relentless. He's gonna stick to it. He's smoked off. You're seeing Smoke has open sight lines to try and see if he can catch someone crossing, but Vita will best him with the outlaw. SRB had equal numbers until this point. If they can get close enough, maybe the classics at a right-click range could be impactful. But SAD are going to make sure that they are not going to be at arm's reach. Oh, the double shot. Vita gets another with the outlaw. SRB are just going to run headfirst into this brute force against the offense because time is of the essence. And SAD will still bring 2 weapons into the bonus.
Incredible round by Vita, despite the eco from SRB. He still did a great job making sure here that SAD Esports doesn't lose that many bodies into the post plant on that C side until, of course, Satellite gets that double kill in the end. But look at that, just getting that first little sliver of a line for that pick onto Smoke, then that second right there as he satchels up on that C boxes was quite nice. You force SAD Esports to use a lot of util to fight for map control because Smoke got the first pick without really spotting the other players on the A side line. It comes to show here that SAD Esports is still making sure that they're dotting their I's, crossing their T's here when they're executing and scaling up here on the lanes of the map.
Smoke making sure to get an outlaw to contest the other sniper, but not doing so on the angle you would have expected Smoke to initially hold. Gonna let the majority of SRB address the Rebel fight that has always gone pretty back and forth. Nature, it's already tagged up down to 10 HP, so they have to play safer. Maybe blood in the water. That's SAD. Can sense and move forward with, trying to get into tree. The Prowler, the pillars are getting into position. Nature will watch the entry as Xander takes to the staircase. SRB on the approach. Vita, though, fallen. Xander from the staircase will trip up SAD on their progression to get a plant. And this is big. SAD needed to maintain this momentum. You can't afford any rounds against SRB. There's such a gap in the score. And Zaj is on fire. Try and get SAD back into a comfortable position. Welly will calm down. They stay composed, and SAD retaliate to get a plant down.
Spike planted.
133 is going to be hard against Smoke, though. For Smoke to take, actually.
Oh, second shot missing, but also Zaj didn't even get shot that round, so the armor was still good enough. SAD, though, I like that when they get pressed, they don't panic too much. And Welly has talked in interviews in the past that sometimes the majority of the timeouts are about managing the emotions and talking to their head coach to get everything, the panic under control. Because Valorant a lot of times is about confidence and not hesitating, because those SRB's not going to give you those windows to hesitate in. So SAD get that round, but it always costs them a lot of bodies, though.
Nice to see that Xander still has a very deep pocket in his backpack, because that was a beautiful 2-piece that he's gotten. He tried to go for a punish early this round for SAD Esports as they were trying to get more control on the defensive side.
Such a risk, so aggressive for SRB. I mean, to go and grab that orb in front of SAD, there was so much trust in Smoke. But it all goes up in smoke at this point. Sad step forth into tree, boombot, see if Satellite and Smoke can work together. But hey, Smoke is kind of being a nuisance. Sad will have to address it at some point, not knowing what other defenders could be in their way, and Vita just goes flying. Xander's on the flank. Sad can ignore that for now. They got a plan. Satellite's got a dancer in front of him. Nonetheless, Satellite will no longer be part of that tango. Sad still have 3 left.
That's so unlucky too, because that technically in any other day for Satellite, that's an easy 2-piece because nobody expected him on the site. He had free range, free crosshair placement on the 2 players swinging out, not ready, not clearing with their angles. Yet unfortunately, he whiffs a couple of shots, which puts Xander in a tough position here in a 1 versus 3. That could have been a 1 versus 1, for example, if Satellite did land those 2 shots with the Sheriffs. So it would have been an important round for SRB as they had their own eco on this round, but Vita, man, the way that he's moving around that map, playing with a lot of confidence. Look at this little right click, making sure here that he gets his showstopper confirmed for the next round. And yeah, indeed, of course, a super important timeout coming up as well. Money's finally right for the side of SRB after losing their bonus as well, or their buy round against SAD Esports bonus as well. So the tables have turned this time around where SAD Esports has good control here of the attack side. But look at the investment that SRB brings in for this round. An Odin, an Op, and also Xander. Again, I talked about a deep backpack, didn't talk about his KDA, currently now at 21 and 10 after the pick on that last round. So super important here to leverage that star player of Smoke to lock down a lane so far. If you're looking at it, at least from this timeout, Lemon Kiwi, there's potentially like, okay, maybe he's going to place a TP, they break the door and he has a line to fight towards Rubble, or he goes for the TP and that line for that pick in front of that B lane, B main side. So it allows here for SRB throughout this timeout to be a little bit more aggro if they want to on the A side Rubble control, or just to play a simple like a 1-1-2-2 and really fight in front of this B site.
The timeouts from SRB have always been valuable. I think about the Haven map against NRG. SRB were down 0-7 in the first half. We're able to still make a 7-5 half after that timeout. Even the second timeout near the end of the series, forcing overtime, they got a thrifty after the timeout. Like, SRB, this is their lock-in moment. But you also don't want to face... You don't want to look Vita right in the face with a showstopper. It's going to be pretty dangerous, and Vita senses trouble ahead and just... He's quick to just satchel in. Someone's got to stop this guy. He is heating up. SRB are trapped in tree, and the Odin is just louder. It's prouder, and SRB will turtle up, but now they're surrounded and conquered. As Sad dislodged SRB from this power position, 2 left on the other side. Paranoia not going to be used yet from Xander, and you missed it. What a reposition from Welly. Catches SRB off guard. The plant goes through, and the hopes of Satellite to take this round to stop the streak are starting to dim.
That was such a well-drafted round for both of the teams. I have to tip my hat off for the opening for both SRB and SAD. The way that you're opening the door and prowling to make sure that there's no rubble control so that Smoke can just solely focus on trying to get a pick behind the Viper wall. The hand of Welly came through the Viper wall, but unfortunately he didn't go for the shot. Now forced to try to take down at least a showstopper from Vita. What does Vita do? He doesn't panic when the shot misses. He's not turning around to get the showstopper baited out. He actually fully takes control of the A main side towards that back site of the A site, so they keep the 2 players of SRB contained inside tree, open the door and just crunch it on both sides, and then easily overtake the site after in numbers, leaving unfortunately SRB in a 3 versus 1. You have no choice but to save the weapon, and now you're seeing 5 unanswered rounds from SAD going into the next round. SAD are in a prime spot here. We thought that this was going to be a done deal for SRB with how dominant things have been looking for Shopify on the attack side in the first half. But man, SAD Esports, they're currently building this second half as if they're about to just win it all.
Just to do your homework, that Nature is a proficient Odin enjoyer, okay? And Sad knew that not just funnel in to his barrel, but find a way around and then through. Vita, check the close corner. Xander with a judge could still do a lot of damage, but he is hit by the Nightfall, so he's a bit worried about being overwhelmed, maybe smoked off from Satellite. They have both a Paranoia, a Showstopper, a lot to put a stop to SAD in this moment. We're able to cause panic and SRB evaluate their options. There are no lurks. There is time to clear. And the showstopper preemptively comes out. A bit impatient from Satellite. He is gonna just take height and still get value. Killing Welly is insane. Trade it out. Sad may be inspired to hit C after all.
I don't know. If they're not forgotten Xander, there we go. That's gonna make things a little bit more easier.
Still getting value, and the judge take it out of his hands forcefully at the last second. That could have been a bloodbath if Xander continued. Playmaker as usual, equal numbers, those stingers.
30 seconds left.
Could brawl really well close range. Snakebite does not prevent the plant, but does corner Zaj. A Nightfall in response. It's thrown from SRB to sacrifice his paint. A big moment for him in the sun. Around the corner. Good timing on the swing. Smoke is watching for the cross.
Teleport's ready.
This is tough. Smoke in a lone wolf yet again, and just waits for the moment to hit the shoulder. And now Paint exposes his position. The Smoke dissipates. What a flick from Smoke!
What a round by Smoke on a 1 versus 2. He's also stayed so patient on the 1 versus 2. Even waited the 15 seconds before the smoke dissipates here from Paint to get that flick on that last kill. Paint had him dead to rights, but unfortunately the whiff gives his position away. And if you miss against Smoke and he has a scope, well, you lost, buddy. But also before that, you also have to tip it once again to Xander. A judge solo with an Omen Smoke. Look at the amount of util that he wasted out from SAT Esports on the first wave. From 1 ult to Paint Shell C's to Razor Vines to everything going out here on that hit attempt from SAT Esports was all dwindled down, which gave a chance for SRB to make things happen, to make magic happen on a retake, because SAT didn't have enough delays of util on the post plant. So again, Xander doing his job and Smoke closing that round. SRB are also 2 rounds away of finding closing his first map until Exa falls from a spam through Smoke.
Speaking of Smoke too, he got down to 0 with the op. This is gonna be a solo threat on that side, allowing SRB to able to group up on the other 2 sites. Still standing, the pillar, Nature, with a full kit, not wanting to reveal anything yet, but disengaging, gonna let SAT have it. The retake has been strong for SRB, but Vita, he's just better, and he's duels against Satellite. He's been on top. With 33 HP, he's gonna have to take a seat, take a breather. Have SAT watching in main as well. Xander's on his usual flank shenanigans, but SRB are so split from each other, and they have an op trying to retake. Like, this is gonna be tough. But if SAD are gonna overextend out of the site from this, SRB could at least punish.
That's the only thing. Just look for exit kills, because look at the position from Smoke. They already lost full control of the B site with the first 2 players trying to anchor up in the first way from Exa and Satellite, that they already felt that it was a done deal, that they couldn't retake on a 3 versus 5 on that B side. So yes, good at least for Nature to get 1 pop of the overextension from Vita, but that was also in nature of what SAT Esports was trying to do, because Vita, with the way that he just entried for the first 2 kills on that round, allows for him to be 1 orb away of getting a showstopper in the next. So yes, sacrifice that, get the orb. The best you could have is maybe a kill on top of that and stay alive in the next round. But what's most important is zooming out and making sure here that you're focusing on potentially an orb control in this round and a huge showstopper in this current round. So for SRB, if you're not calling a timeout, I'm assuming right now that they understand the win con for SAT Esports on this round. So they are looking for that. Look at the Xander Smoke. He's trying to smoke up on that side so they double crowd the vision, because most likely you're going to use the Viper Wall on the attack side as well. And then also they could seize nade and fight for mountain control so that they protect the orbs.
The Haunt does not see that op yet, and Smoke took that forward position to bait off of the one-way smoke. And hilariously enough, there's only been 3 defensive round wins this whole map. 2 from SAD, 1 from SRB. The offenses have been so suffocating to go up against, as Vita kind of plays with his food there. He'll still send Paint forward, Paranoia as well. SAD have made enough space to feel safe enough to plant, as SRB watch like vultures to try and pick SAD apart. Open sight lines, but SAD are on the low ground. Smoke won't be easily able to give haircuts, but here comes the paranoia. SRB flood in. Here's the blitz. Welly can't hold on. Sad can't trade off of each other. It's coming down to Xander, almost getting an ace. And Pain will be the last victim. Even Smoke has to hold off. Nature's gonna go for the defuse. No way! No way! Pain gets away with that.
That is so sad for SRB when Xander did everything that he could in that round, baiting out the showstopper. Again, the experience that he brings to bait out such big pieces of utility and win cons for the side of Sad gets a 4K, and unfortunately Smoke, who's so good with the operator, misses the single run through on a 1 versus 2. Satellite feeling that somehow, I'm sure he should have probably let go. He probably still had a lot of time to defuse because he's already at half, but just felt that he was already close to defusing anyways. But then unfortunately loses that, and that allows here for Sat to come back in the game. Because after that win, look at the economy for SRB right now. It is in shambles. The best they could do is have a sheriff round and try to draft something up from this timeout. But also just to make sure that they could close out the last 2 after that, understanding how Sad Esports, or trying to understand how Sad Esports are currently opening up these rounds.
Both timeouts now gone for SRB. A 10-2 lead that is almost evaporated at this point. And those 2 timeouts coming in within 5 rounds. The only round SRB have won was off of a 1v2 clutch from Smoke that you could argue anybody else would have lost. Like, it took a pretty insane flick from Smoke to clutch that. By the skin of their teeth, SRB are holding on. And yeah, a 4K from Xander. Like, the job is almost done, but Pain, so composed, so resilient in that moment. And a second too late would have been an SRB win and match point.
Unlucky too, it was a Smoke that just dissipated as well, so Smoke wasn't ready for that. But yeah, this is definitely a little bit of a draft to try to at least trap into the C-side control. Where Sad Esports, they understand there's got to be a stack, there's got to be some aggression coming out somewhere, so they're going to try to hold it back for a bit, try to bait out Util, and they've already baited out the attempt of the trap by just throwing 1 C's in the front of that mound. And now also capitalizing on these picks.
It's a good start. Prowling into B. Sad. No shots, no response from the SRB defense.
Cover going out.
You wanna be able to bait that reaction.
Blinding.
You already have a pick, but a lot of respect is given to SRB on these lower buys. I mean, a thrifty from SRB is how they even forced overtime against NRG yesterday. So, some significant damage done to Xander. Sad happy to try press the issue after grabbing the orb.
Left.
If they can get the Viper's Pit online, I mean, that would be the guarantee, but you should be able to clear this. You catch Xander lacking. You could you clean up the kill. SRB retake. It's been not successful so far. Imagine with pistols.
Yeah, it might be a done deal here. It was, again, a little attempt from Xander, currently top fragger for SRB, to just hold his final stand on that mound, but finally Util is well exercised by the side of Sad Esports to overtake the C site. Now Satellite, the best you could do here is looking to keep doing some econ damage, because the more that they chip, look at the economy on the side of Sad Esports as well. Try to keep it low as possible. Try to continue to force these rebuys, which could continue to increase the percentage here of SRB being able to close out their first map. But man, Sad Esports are only 1 round away of being able to tie things up here. You know, after that timeout, it's going to be another heavy investment round from SRB to make sure that they lock down all of their win cons, which is why now Smoke continues with the operator. Small shields. Another scenario that if they lose this round here, they're back into another eco. A huge important round needed to be drafted up here by Odorous and by Effies, and you see it right now. The trip is at a different spot. The TP is looking for a front B main line so it can TP and support on that C side line as well, and Exa if needed to have that pit to kind of combine here the pit with the turret, kind of like a pit and vice wall, so that he keep the C side locked up.
Funny enough, like SRB, last time they went to Lotus against Sad, it was an 8-4 defense for SRB. That was their stronger side. and 5 of those 8 rounds were off of good retakes from SRB. So the fact that this has just been impossible shows that SAD have really done the homework to patch up their previous issues and to stay composed in such a high stakes match, to come back from 10-2. So insane to say about SAD. Welly not getting the orb for the Nightfall, thinking they don't need it. Boombot, Paranoia, so much resistance out of SRB, but not the kills. That's what they need. As Satellite is hosed down by the Nightfall, still manages to trade. And Smoke makes sure there's no extensions, there's no shenanigans or desperation from SAD. The Viper's Pit comes up, 3 versus 3. Difficult for the Op to try and pierce through that. No Paranoia 2 from Xander. Let to take their time, but I guess he doesn't need it. He just is the hero. The pit comes crashing down. This is SRB hoping to get to match point after forcing such a marathon out of a map that looked like it was going to be a sprint. And Crack intentionally left in this smoke, and Pate patiently waits for Prey to cross. Smoke, but at least adjusts and jumping out to receive. Almost a chance for Smoke to clutch again.
Yeah, actually that smoke was unintentional. That was supposed to block out the whole vision as they're trying to flood back into the A site for Xander and company of SRB. When he was playing so solidly for this whole game so far for Xander, that gap gave a chance, the opener for the enemies to see who was swinging across. Look how it becomes easy for Paint and Welly to get that line, to get that spray through the boxes as well for that pick, not even allowing here SRB to get the spike at half. And I thought it was going to be a very hard retake already for SRB when they had to play a 3 versus 3 retake with no util left because they're trying to use it to stall on the A side. Yen Xander almost made it possible until his own smoke, unfortunately, was the demise of SRB also in that round, allowing SAD Esports to tie up the game, again forcing SRB into another eco, allowing SAD Esports to be the first one to knock at the door of map point.
And maybe it's a side difference, maybe it's the SRB special. This would be the most SRB thing to happen, but Vita makes sure to cross that finish line for his team and watches the angle. Exa hoping to cut them off. SRB staggered from each other, but with the weapons that they have, they're gonna do their best with what they have. Satellite will be a thorn in their side, and Waterfall, SRB are advancing without him. And Welly is just an absolute unit today. What a step up from him in this second half. SAD have officially taken the lead.
And that was something that was prefaced as well by the analyst desk going into this game, where Welly not only recently taking the mantle of IGLing a team like SAD Esports, but also having moments where he's able to pop the hell off in a lot of the matches for SAD Esports throughout their run of this year in 2026. This time having great impact frags to anchor up here on that C site. Again, it was still an eco round for SRB, but they had a timing. They found the gaps. They closed that gap to actually almost surprise here SAD Esports on the post plant positions. That said, boils down to the last round of regulation, a fight, and finally some aggressive control to try to take A main. But look at that. They just stay back inside the smoke for SAD Esports, just waiting to cut noise and contact back into the A line.
For SAD to potentially take one of SRB's best maps out of their pool in a way, in the most hilarious way possible, where we could be in for a long series. Vita just jumps in the midst of the action, waits to pull the trigger. Showstoppers.
No way.
So close. 3 HP. Vita has a guardian angel as nature wants to send them all to heaven. Nightfall will rain on the SAD parade, and they will progress no matter what. The spam Vita Zaj cannot afford to take another bullet. And Xander will still hold strong on the other side with a shotgun, hoping to punish any overextensions from SAD. The planter is alone. Welly will try to help with a late Nightfall, but the spike is down, and SRB seconds away from an overtime force.
30 seconds left.
Maybe a second round in this whole half. Welly, fake door open. SRB already know it. Just have to watch the spike. That's what Smoke's doing with an op. An open angle. But the way that Welly's pathing here could be an issue. It's been some time. Is Smoke going to adjust? And he does! Great idea. Overtime for map 1.
Yeah, Welly's just looking to get stats here in the last few seconds, because even if he gets the kill, there's 10 seconds left. No way to move into the plant and secure the round for SAD Esports, but securing the round was definitely on Nature and Xander on that round. Somehow the showstopper not getting a kill onto Vita, yet somehow he stays alive on the site and he almost overtook it. Xander had to be the final stand once again. In the back into a drop where he was already spotted out. 2 players trying to swing out against him. He does some pop damage through the smoke. And now, even before we get into OT, he's at 30 kills. Who is this guy?
Has to go right there. And this is overtime. This is where the pressure is on. And these are moments that SRB can have some mistakes exposed. They're back on their attacking side. This is the 10-2 half that SRB created. Both these teams much stronger on their attacks. It's going to come down to not if the swords can clash, but if the shields, the defenses will be stronger. Oh, a big play from SAD. Paranoia and the Prowlers will force SAD back, not able to follow through on Paint's setup. SRB will scatter. In case Vita will just double satchel at them, because Vita's kind of known to be in your face sometimes. And SRB stuck in spawn.
So a lot of time, though. There's a minute left right now. So the 2 players inserting up on the SRB side, going back into trying to force the hand of the players of SAD Esports to stay towards A, and then they could re-hit towards that C site. But now it's all question marks. Can Exa get this pick on to Zaj in the back of spawn?
To be a Hail Mary. Zaj, oh, what a crouch, what a kill. Smoke will respawn. He's off on his own, and here comes SRB to plant. The cutoff here, breakable door. Timing is everything. You hear the walk, you hear the door open. The window of opportunity gone. SAD will emerge. Maybe a chance for Xander to be the hero once more. Waits patiently at the trigger. But Vita, his resistance is next level. Oh my God, the shots. It's all up to Smoke. 1v2, but 13 seconds. Is he gonna go for kills? Does he go for the plant? He's not safe. Not with that fade. As close as it is. And the shot does not connect. And SAD kick off our overtime.
Vita with his satchels has been impressing me this game, and for him to get the timing to just move in and weave through a closing door like his Indiana Jones trying to escape the boulder in the end, he still gets a 2-piece into tree and saves that round for SAD. And even the boom bot, I think that he threw, saved him from the shot from Smoke, just to delay a little bit more until finally they closed it out on a 2-versus-1 for SAD Esports. But man of the hour again for SRB for me was Xander. A nice pick there onto the rubble side, getting the flash so that Smoke could actually win that fight against Vita, despite the op shot missing. And unfortunately, just not enough. And once again, it's SAD Esports at map point. SRB already coming out with their timeout because, of course, you need it because you're trying to force the second OT if possible, because that just shattered your momentum with what they just did in round number 24.
And to do it on defense. That was also a side that SAD struggled on. They only took 2 rounds there, and it took a timeout for them to really fully craft out that plan. Now SRB, their whole map lives depend on their worst side flourishing. And I mean, the clutch factor has been next level for both these teams. Vita versus Xander. Smoke, not really able to have the time to fully activate there as well. He is excited for the potential of SAD to come back into this map on SRB's best map and map pick. As Rebel quickly taken there by SAD.
Not this time. The hand sticks out, but he ain't gonna miss a second time for a Smoke. So a great player advantage that started. No punish there on Pain. Pain is able to fight for a little bit more, down to 14 HP.
Oh, so Vita is forced into the hands of Satellite. But he's in the executioner at this point, but it's a 4-versus-2 SRB.
Oh no.
You have to seal the deal here. The plant trying to go through. SAD not comfortable at B. The numbers that they have, they'll try to re-clear through, but the op was last marked on this side of the map, and Smoke will not miss. Oh, he gets off the angle as soon as SAD come out.
Yeah, but still there's a gap, so he did the right move here to fall back when Smoke got popped, and now he's just got to contain. So he knows now, can confirm it here, that the 2 players are moving into the A side. He's just got to hold tree for the rest of the team to move forward.
Oh, and heard the second tap. Smoke
30 seconds
may have
left.
put the nail in the coffin for this round because picking up the spike and trying to plant it. Smoke won't guard it from being picked up, but you have Exa that could push. Any angle that you try to plant at is being watched. So defensive rounds won from both sides after that was the biggest struggle for SAD and SRB throughout Lotus. So overtime continues.
Starting to see here the first cracks under the pressure on the side of SAD Esports, though, as they try to get into the B side, and Zaj was getting hit by Util. He pre-fired the shot to try to break the haunt, misses it, and the haunt actually pings both players from SAD remaining on that B side, which allowed SRB to really set up now and confirm that round to make sure that they push this into that double OT. So room to breathe for the side of SRB, and an attack side op here for Smoke. The same type of pattern for at least Smoke and Satellite, or sorry, Exa to work towards the A side. But it's the rest of SRB that's trying to bait out the rotates. First Prowler in the front of that B site, but look at the answer back from SAD. Double walking in the front, potentially maybe even trying to swing out through the smoke as well.
Yeah, because if SRB do go A, Tree has been such a huge prio just based on how their Viper's wall has been set up. Trying to slow down the round so that Smoke can get that pick, so that's punish the SAD impatience. Xander's playing his own mind games over at Mound. Spike has been moving towards B, though. Door is going to open. This does sort of expose SRB. Not going to be a reaction. A SAD fall back towards C. A jump up, and it costs Vita's head. First blood for SRB, as they still are at a standstill on how to move forward.
Yeah, SRB are looking to play another one of those rounds where they're going to try to re-hit with 10 seconds remaining. First off, it's potentially just going to be a bait sound towards that C side. As it gets smoked out here, they might
30 seconds
just try to open up the door and go towards B.
Ain't waiting for the moment carefully. The shots come out. Someone has already satcheled through. Satellite has earned the showstopper. It whistles by Pate as he has a better answer for you. 10 seconds left. The plant on B. The bodyguards are in position. Satara around the corner. 4 versus 2. SRB have been able to confirm these before. Pain and Paint against the world. Split up from each other, though. Gonna come down to some pretty big heroics to break the fortress that is SRB on a post plant. Pain in a crossfire and about to bite the bullet. SRB go now to map point OT.
Going back to the tried and true of a nice strong attack side for SRB. 20 seconds remaining, and they sell a fake. From Satellite opening this up, picking up the orb, by the way, on the C mound, satchels into Waterfall to get the pick and to keep the 3 players over on that C side while they open up the door towards B and hit the site and go for the plant and finish on a 4 versus 2. A big round by Satellite, who's been not playing like to the expectation of somebody like Satellite could be, but that was a huge impact round that allowed SRB to finally regain control a little bit of this map and put themselves finally at map point as well. So SAD Esports is their turn to try to draft something up, to try to force this into another OT, and then it'll all come down to the mind games and the great calls from Nature and Welly, if it has to come down to a 14-14 scoreline. So this is an important one here for SAD to have a great start in this BO5 lower finals between these two teams.
See if SRB can win a defensive round, though, because that was also a monumental task. And Satellite is not the double satchel in your face type of raid, so not as flashy as Vita, because SRB, I mean, it had to slow it down, playing around Smoke's op, playing around these 4-1s, really defaulting well around the map, but on defense, went well for SRB to kind of rely on Smoke's picks when he was at the A staircase last time. Different swap up, 2-3 split. Satellite putting the pressure on, nade in, SAD pretty forward into rubble. The spam is revealing SRB's position, and the Prowler, the Paranoias are putting SRB back as Nature and the rest step into the spotlight and they shine. SRB flawless to take Lotus.
What a way to finish finish that first map as well, convincingly in a flawless for Shopify Rebellion Black. But they didn't need Smoker Satellite this time around. They just used their pure grit of firepower to fight the Rubble side and finally close out their first map. But Lemon Kiwi, this is starting to look like a BL5 that maybe some after the map veto were expecting potentially a 3-0 for SRB, but for Shopify to win this in double triple OT with the skin of their teeth when they were so strong on Lotus, it gives me a little bit of a hope right now that SAD Esports can make this a very good series against SRB.
Hey, we're entertained, but I don't think despite that win, SRB are happy with how that went, because it went from a 10-2 half to an overtime that actually began SAD's way. So up next, we're going to be going to Split. That is technically SAD's map pick, but also a playground for SRB. They have been happy with their results there, and the desk will break it all down for you after this.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
Trim, edge, shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.
We got to the point where we could control the laws of nature by advanced electronics.
Jax, the repeat in nature, is gonna get fired down. Pain's got it all.
Needs to kill Satellite. Jesus, I mean, he was quadruply Lotus Decider. We are
are pushing our teams to the absolute limit here in the lower finals. Lotus, the first map of the series, kind of looked like it was going to be a complete wash from the get-go. I mean, talking about just this incredible lead that SRB had. I mean, actually kind of looked like they could do no wrong until the side swap. And then we just flip the script, reverse it. We go to a double OT at Shopify Rebellion, 15-13 in the end for the victory. That was a movie.
It was a movie. It felt like it was the length of a movie, honestly, but it was crazy. Like a 10-2 half there for SRB. That was just such a powerful start from them. I got to give credit for SAD Esports. They did manage to, you know, find some success after that timeout that they took to be able to be a little bit more aggressive. They were playing a bit passive, I feel like, on defense to start things out, and SRB were very comfortable at just going for a lot of these fast hits towards A, towards C, but then we swap sides, and it's almost like the similar story, but for the side of SAD Esports instead, and they managed to win out that bonus round, just repeating the history of what SRB did to them into the first half. And it's just insane the way that the team stepped up, because it felt like not just like that momentum shift, but we saw both teams almost looking like different versions of themselves, right? Roy, I feel like we were talking about it even in the green room, like SRB didn't feel like themselves on defense from what we're used to seeing, and SAD were just turning it up to 11.
Yeah, I mean, at 10-2 half, I did not think the triple OT fake comeback was going to be a thing, but alas, here we are. Yeah, I think at the second half, you're absolutely right. I think we saw a lot of mistakes, but honestly, if we're being completely honest with ourselves here, SRB did have a lot of advantages in that second half. Like, this game could have ended sooner had they just closed up some of those advantages, but we come into this game, we highlighted a lot about the X factor, the heroics that SAD Esports manages to always pull out, right? There's never a shortage of heroes on that roster, and we saw it was really just mostly Pain that was stepping up in a lot of these clutches. This 1v3 right here is one of them. I mean, just so nasty overall. And there were so many situations, again, that SRB found themselves in that were kind of comfortable, right? The 5v3, and just like a lot of these kind of situations and these like late round clutches that should have gone their way, but they just weren't able to close out. But you know, that's the name of the game. This is another clip, by the way. 3K by Welly, so important. But yeah, just again, heroics, X factor. I mean, that's the name of the game for SAD Esports, but unfortunately for them, SRB just kept the foot on the gas, if you will, towards the very end.
It was so close though. Like, I want to remind everybody, when they played this map in the upper bracket, it was a 13-6 victory for Shopify Rebellion Black, and it's SAD Esports that frankly just didn't really accomplish too much on their attack, right? So like, even more so a reason why I thought it was going to be a wash. So to be able to have that sort of switch around on the day, to come out of the gate so much stronger, even if we did see mistakes coming out from SAD and we got to see those heroics on the other part for SAD Esports, I still think this was incredible. I feel like even if it is just a Shopify win on their first map, to have it be this close, I think just really shows how much staying power SAD has within this series. Like, I think this is going to be a really, really close one. I mean, the step up on the day, again, Ash, I just cannot believe it. I know SRB won that, but like, at some point, like, should they have?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think what's even more impressive, even though SRB still take it home at the end of the day, for the SAD roster, I think that even calling back to their matches up against M80, they were facing, you know, certain advantages and just not being able to turn things around at the half to be able to bring things, to find that momentum for themselves, right? And close out those matches. But I think overall for SAD, you think about how young and also just like green a lot of these players are. So for them to be able to turn things around at the half in that kind of way and keep their cool and be that kind of rock, I'd really love to know who it is. Like, maybe it's Paint on this team who's playing that kind of role for them, but you got to give them a lot of credit for that endurance that they had here in map 1.
And I mean, we can't ignore the elephant in the room on the scoreboard here. I mean, for Xander, we keep talking about this being a do or die series, and I feel like Xander took that personally, right? Like, he's played like anything, like unlike anything else. And if Xander doesn't do this, I think we're talking a very different story right now, aka an SRB loss. Like, Xander's impact cannot be understated.
Oh, for sure. I don't think it's an elephant in the room. I think it's a rhino. He's just blasting through the enemy, just running it down. It's beautiful to see. And we talk so much about like the young guns and there's so much like X Factor narratives with like the young upcoming talent, but you have Xander right here who's so experienced, and when it comes to these like high pressure environments, like, he was not scared at all, guys. Like, there was no fear in any of his plays, no hesitation. He was locked in. He was very decisive with how he wanted to play. He was very aggressive. relentless and just so calm. It felt like he really didn't feel like he was tested too much, and he never slowed down at any point throughout this game, right? Like first half he was crazy, second half he put up insane stats, and even into OT he was having just immaculate amounts of impact. So I think I completely agree with Sierra when she mentioned the fact that this could have been a very different story had he not popped off. But I mean, yeah, it happens. That's Xander for you.
I 100% agree with you. It feels like he's been on this like exponential growth path ever since we've hit into stage 3, and then sending into playoffs has been a crazy rise in his just individual performance. And you can really tell that he's not here to play when it comes down to that play-in spot.
He really, really isn't. Enough one in the series now. We will be heading over into SAD Esports map pick. But when we had talked with Dave Roy about the maps, Split was an interesting one because, again, I mean, this is strong for SAD Esports, don't get me wrong, but it is for SRB as well, which makes me wonder, like, do SAD Esports have a plan and anti-strat going up against SRB to where they feel confident as this is the second map?
I'm always curious myself, to be honest. Like, I feel like a lot of teams that I speak with all have very different philosophies for how they approach these things. Like a lot of people just like to stick to their own comfort. They're not really worried too much about the enemy team. They're kind of just going off how they feel practice has gone, how they feel their match results have gone. But yeah, just purely looking at this from like a data standpoint, I mean, yeah, this is a crazy map. Like, yeah, you're 2-0 on it if you're SAD Esports, but you look at SRB side, the Shotfire Rebellion side, they're 3-0 also on this map, and they've taken very decisive wins on this as well. 13-8, 13-9 is the closest game was against Pigeons early on, but overall I feel like the meta on this map really suits them, especially with the satellite smoke double duelist. So expect a lot of those explosive plays, of course, with the Sky in there as well. Expect those flash plays, those aggressive pops in the mid round as well on the attack side. And if I'm thinking correctly back on SRB's history on this map, it has been very set play heavy.
It has been, but now talking about the compositions that we're seeing here, we had that discussion previously about what Shopify Rebellion and Black did up against SAD Esports the last time these two teams faced off, and the success that SAD had last time around, and it was down to all of the coverage that they were able to find, like with that Neon there for Vita, and just blocking off and making things uncomfortable here for Smoke. It's a run back of the similar strategy here, but a lot more high octane gameplay on the side of SAD Esports, running the Neon and the Waylay together. I think the first time that we've seen the Mosquito comp, actually, if I'm not mistaken, within stage 3. I'm really excited to see how Split's gonna go.
I'm very intrigued. I mean, when we're looking at this whole best of 5, I feel like this is kind of a must win for that momentum, everything going on forward. And SAD starting on a side that's so strong for them. I'm looking for how much rounds they can put together with this swap. Let's see if the gamble is worth it as we head to Split. Second map of the series is ready, and so are your casters. Let's head over to Lemon Kiwi and Van Silly.
Hey, you gotta have some stamina for a series like this, especially after what we saw on Lotus going into overtime after a 10-2 half. But hey, this is the SAD playground. This is their choice, and they've swapped up their comp. I'm excited, Vance.
Could be a make it or break it for SAD Esports for sure, because it was a marathon on that first map. It went back and forth, and SAD Esports should have had that one. Now you're like, okay, well, it wasn't our map pick anyways. Let's focus on the next map, which is ours. Let's come up with a new comp that could potentially topple down SRB. But if they don't manage to topple this one down, that might give a chance here for SRB to really close things out. So for me, though, if I'm looking at this Lemon Kiwi, I still like the comp from SAD Esports. I do think that Pink going in as a Waylay allows for him to get a little bit better spacing than like the Ray Satchels that he's not necessarily the best of at in my eyes. So we'll see how this is going to pan out for both him and Vita.
Oh, the double duelist takes out Exa, who really has to adjust. This can be not a great map for the Lurker, but SRB, they try to make do, but also their duelists are having a hard time carving their way in mid. SRB haven't gotten a single kill yet on Split, so they've definitely been rattled.
I like this too, of how they're placing a defensive wall, how they set up the pistol round for SAD Esports as well. I mean, look at how SRB are getting knocked down one by one. The double push on the A side catches one off guard. They lock down to make sure that they take down the Exa lurk on the A side that SRB likes to do. Then they instantly rotate back because they're playing with a Neon, so they can actually have 3 players fight for middle control. And then if they ever somehow are forced to retake the site on B, That Viper Wall plus an Omen one-way on new box gives so much good utility here for SAD to rotate back from spawn and from heaven to retake the B side. So a nice little look that they had. We'll see if the Viper Wall has that type of consistency of being thrown in different spots, but already in that second round, it stays back into a default wall.
Just the duos of how SAD were grouping up around the map. And now they got weapons that can sit back at range. They're already spamming through the smoke, and the shotgun 2 is doing work at 3K for Vita. And he doesn't even have to slide into your face. Hey, it won't be flawless, not with Exa on duty, but bird's eye view will take care of that. And a quick start to split so far.
Yeah, nice to see Exa activate a little bit more, though, on that second round. He needs that confidence to come up as well. This cannot be an SRB game where Xander is going to be the one that's going to have to pick it up every single round for the team and just drag the team across the finish line for every single one of these maps. So, again, this is just an ink round, but still opening up 2 kills like that very quickly for the side of Exa builds that a little bit of that momentum once again into their rifle round, which is right now. So Nature only with the Guardians, who could have full kit with the team. They're looking to potentially explode here on the top of the A ramp with this cautionary ping that you see. That is just a flash. Sorry.
Yeah, no, all good. I'm kind of just looking back at SAD's split against NRG Academy. They were down 11-2, and SAD came back and won in overtime. So it was a different comp and a different day. Ooh, headshot into Pain, and look how SAD are fearless. They're dashing into this. They're getting revenge for their injured Omen, and it's the injured Omen that has to get the last laugh. Funny enough. SRB getting pushed and spawn. What the heck is this aggression from SAD? They'll try to, and SRB will try to just absorb the space around the map away from that noise.
It's nice too if the little trap play that they had for SAD Esports. It is their bonus round. You're starting to see what they're drafting up with this double duelist. So they have like the bait and switch from the Waylay. They can even throw a saturate next time if you want to for Paint, but it allows Vita to close that gap as Paint throws the paranoia, and then allows for them to just have a little bit more when they're going to flood retake towards this side. I think they're waiting for the flash at least to come back up. No time. No chance.
So much on his plate, and he still finished all of it, mostly. But still, definitely impactful. Zaj, the Vandal, won't be able to keep it. And SRB, despite kind of getting hit in the face so early, they got right back up. It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up. And SRB are very familiar with that tug of war they have to play against SAD.
At least he finished the main course right here for Satellite with the mow down on 3 players and leaves Desert for Smoke to build up the Blade Storm. So that's kind of nice for them to stop that bleeding, stop the momentum for SAD Esports with, again, what was really nicely drafted out from the piss around into the anti-eco. And now it's still good money for SAD. And you're seeing here as well that you're putting the op in the hands of Paint instead, because Satellite, he does like to rifle a lot, especially as a Neon, because he likes to just bring that fight right into your face.
And for Paint to be in ramps with it is kind of interesting. You would think screens would be a safer spot, because if you were to encounter an issue, that up would be dropped to SRB, and Smoke having that in the future will be a boon for SRB. Flash out on the other side. SAD aware of what's on the menu. But this encounter in Garage, denies Xander, and man, that double from Pain is beautiful. SRB are brought down to their knees on in a moment where they really outnumbered SAD.
Wait, they might overcook this and push this over on the A line. You're seeing it from the minimap that it's looking so far so good here, because the push from Paint comes in with the op all the way from A main into middle. Yet that might give a chance here for Paint to pick up a rifle if they want to replay the 2v2 onto the A site.
30 seconds left.
But you're looking back at the 2v2, it looks really good for SRB. You're only having one player drop down, which is Smoke, planning it for a Heaven. Yeah, they're going to play their ones, but at the same time, it's placed in a prime position at Exa to clutch out the round for the team.
And Vita has to hurry up. Like, Paint is pushing through sewers. It's going to take so much time to even get close to the spike. But all that noise is heard by Exa. So the overcook ended up just being just right for SRB to even things up. 2-2 apiece. Paint will ideally like to keep the op, but Exa comes back up these ropes. That's not going to be kept, but did not scope in fast enough. And the op is kept at the end of the day. Good stuff, though, for SRB. They've been good at making adjustments. It's kind of how clean can the map end up being is what I'm curious about for SRB.
Yeah, the pathing was good for SRB to fight towards that B side. They have power of numbers as well. That lineup was huge by Paint in the first place, but thankfully, because they had the third player from SRB on top of Raptors, opened up that side, allowed Smoke to get that, at least a attempt of a plant towards that B line to see if anybody was going to peek out, but still win the 2v2 in the end. And the other important thing as well is that they now know that Paint does have the operator quite early in the round, so that will change the approach of how SRB will go into this round. Now you might have to boombot, dog, try to figure out where the op could be earlier on, but he avoids it, at least to start for Paint, which could put him in a serious position here in the front of that garage.
Doesn't want to be in the most obvious position. The outlaw could also be just as crucial against an eco. It's already some Sky util here from Nature, who had such an incredible split for SRB's side of things when they went up against Core. Such a convincing map for them, 13-8. Small comeback for Core on the other side, but in the end, see if SRB try to make this more one-sided. Sad had the pistol, they had the start. Who will end it is Sad have the read on where SRB are going to be pushing into.
Call is huge from Willie, anticipating the re-hit towards the A side, so he gambles to rotate of the ones that have pistols to play towards A for the op to solo take B.
Wexa caught in the midst. The wall will stay up, but will not protect them at all. Pistol claims one. These are weapons that these pistols cannot access, though. As SRB will not find a way through, but a way around, but still will re-emerge. As Sad tried to put up a fight, but SRB, they got the better guns in the end of the day, and Paint can just sit there and observe for now.
They have Nature with heal as well, so that's going to be at least that attempt from SAD Esports that almost looked pretty good there. The first blood on that hold from Vita through walls as he's being flashed, but at the end of the day, you saw the positioning from SAD Esports over on the A side. Where that gap was the top of heaven, where Smoke actually took the lane from top middle to go through vents and then get that backstab there on to Pain. Making sure here that they have elevation once again for the actual hit into the A side, and SAD Esports had no more surprise going into the round. Even the flash misses, so that will actually allow for Paint to save his operator into the next round, which is huge here.
After how much SRB have cleared, maybe they still have an idea where he is, but I don't know if you want to poke the bear. Nature's just running his way too, but not going to encounter each other yet. So win streak now for SRB, and this is kind of the SRB special that they can sometimes have weaker pistols, and this is the kind of the momentum that generates in their sales at a point like this. And a round 6 timeout for SAD is earlier than I expected.
They're trying to figure out how they could fully take value of the operator from Paint as well, as they don't want to let SRB run away with this game so far, but they're realizing as well that Flash Boombot might be like one of the pieces of util in the first place that Satellite and Nature are trying to do. And I also think that from that previous round, when I think it was a Pain smoke on the eco that he threw towards that B side garage, there was no second layer of SRB trying to re-hit into garage. So that might give an opportunity here to maybe rotate your duelists around, especially if you're playing a Neon, to really try to anchor up towards that spot, and then Paint could re-rotate to a spot where his operator could get a little bit more value. So I'm expecting SAD Esports to be a little bit more proactive going into this round on the defensive side. Whereas for SRB, I just saw a plethora of pings towards that B lane. I think this might just be a slam.
You got a showstopper? Why not? Cosmic Divide, fantastic. The seal in B. See kind of how it'll be angled. And Pain will have a Paranoia. We'll see how well he can anchor. I mean, he was one of the clear MVPs for SAD on the previous map. To not the result they wanted. Pretty aggressive angle. Vita pushed off of it. I like this early util from Nature. No assists, but trying to make the space. Still marking how close that op is. The fact that it's an op. Satellite searches. No targets in sight. The Cosmic Divide is very far forward. Denies a lot of the space. And wow, you got the pin on top from Exa. Vita will not be able to shake things up before the wall comes up. Sad. I mean, there's so much to try for them to try and pierce through, as the Seekers are also invested. 3 ults out of SRB. No kills quite yet. Sad will not be intimidated, as they are now climbing up the walls and trying to escape with their lives intact. So maybe they will be intimidated. And it probably came down to the health pools also at the end.
Yeah, the 3 ops were also very good by SRB to even contain the attempt of SAT Esports stuff flooding back. So as they realized they couldn't get any picks out of it, even the double dash from Paint, getting no picks into the front of that billboard, they're like, yep, it's time for us to save our weapons. And the unfortunate thing about it too is that as they were escaping, they were not able to pick up the operator left by Vita. So you see the change of pacing as well from SAT Esports. They wanted to give the op instead onto Vita, so that I'm assuming Vita being more comfortable on that as well. Paint, if you're looking at his past couple of roles, has been playing a lot of like Phoenix or KO, something that rifles with aggression a little bit more. So maybe just not feeling it for the day. That might even change the game plan from SAT on the spot for the second map. And that is the nature of coming out with a brand new composition against SRB as well, right? It's untested for you as well. So you just have to adapt as you go. And to see SRB slowly running away with the attack side once again, this time on split, SAT Esports are going to have to find their footing a little bit earlier than anticipated.
And SAT have shown that they can abandon the op. They did so on Haven. It's not something is a huge core part of their success, the way that it is for Smoke and friends of SRB. And Welly's really talked about in interviews how they really SAT curate their style and their composition around the tempo and the pace they want to play at, which is very fast, very loose, especially when you have Vita, his best agent being the Neon, now accompanied by a Waylay, someone that can match that. Will be really nice. Where usually it's been a lot of the Neon Phoenix from this team. So there's a lot of barking on the other side of Smokes here, but SAT will stick to their positions.
Interesting as well how we're currently playing the defensive side for SAT. Yes, you're using a Viper Wall aggressively to maybe contain and fight towards middle, but that doesn't leave you too much util to hold a hit towards the A side. Thankfully, though, it starts off on B. That allows Paint to get the openers. Wow.
Just the crunch from SAT to walk up, take control of ramps. The timing was really good for SAT. I mean, even just how they extended out of garage to get that initial pick, how they pushed through ramps to finish off the core of SRB. Now it's nature with no flash, no dog, and satellite with something, but the backstab could easily just end it before SRB even have a thought. Plant goes through satellite. Oh, we're gonna watch his back, and oh, deadly instant headshot into Paint. But a 2v4, that's an uphill battle. One watching garage, too many angles. You still have Heaven too, and that's an angle that would be difficult for SRB to fight in, at least with the numbers that they have and their positions that they don't have cover in. The satellite immediately passes away. So up to nature. With the spike not being in his sight, he won't be able to prevent the inevitable. SAT come in and get the job done.
Very patient. Sorry, being displayed by SAT Esports on that 4 versus 2. They were expecting here, especially after you get the first pick from Satellite onto Paint, I think it was, that some players are probably going to try to go for hero plays. They're just going to try to close and get more spacing onto the initial kill that they've gotten. And SAT to just make sure that they stayed put, making sure that they're covering their lanes, also making sure that the next smoke from Pain comes up so he could actually TP and smoke and get information for the rest of the flood to come through. And thankfully, despite him using that util, it wasn't really needed because SRB still ended up walking into the crosshair of their opponents. Allowed here SAT to close this out. Vita starting off the round being wall banged down to 18 HP though.
Yeah. Be able to go and rejoin Welly for some heals, but is that a moment to put the pedal to the metal? Especially with how Vito likes to play really fast and in your face. He kind of scaled down ramps, and is that proactivity you wanted to see out of SAT? And despite Vito taking such early damage, he's faced it. It's costing a hemorrhage. SRB flashed and had some leverage in that fight, and SAT still survived. Not only that, they're thriving. They had the spike down.
So whenever Nature was trying to throw that flash, I don't know if somehow it goes over for an A ramp for Smoke to get a pick, but Man, did Vita take full advantage of that to just slide tackle that kill and drop in the spike, allowing SAD Esports to overtake the round and forcing the last two players of Smoke and Ixa to save their weapons. I gotta say, it's quite interesting how SAD are approaching the defensive lines. I wanted to once again underline 2 rounds ago where they threw the aggressive Viper wall down towards middle. Not enough util to hold an A-side push, yet you just have Zaj holding the front ramp and getting 2 kills into that one. And I think SRB, if they're realizing the wall coming down on that mid line again, they might be able to start to default a little bit more and finish up towards that A side, which they kind of did this round here, but unfortunately they lost the rest of their players on middle.
Even just based on Lotus, both these teams, especially SRB, like to arm wrestle so on their attack and kind of draw out as much util. They're in SRB. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to take space, and especially on this map. You haven't successfully been able to get into ramps, into A maybe more than once. B, garage, is a lot of those fights have gone SAD's way. And middle, I mean, the first attempt from SRB had both their duelists dead in the water. So it's, despite that nice little 4-round win streak from SRB, I still feel like SAD are in full control.
Agreed. And I think that's why we have this timeout early from SRB as well. They've lost grasp of the control of the first half when he strung in here the rounds 3 to 6, getting 4 in a row. But I will have to go back to what you were mentioning here, Lemon Kiwi. I think when it came down to that previous round where Smoke did get the wall bang onto Vita, you have to expect somebody to fall back, or for that player to fall back and for the heal to come up. So that wastes time there. And as you do so, and you've already realized where well, he's kind of playing the early rounds, if you're dogging and flashing for information, then that should leave a couple of gaps here for you to overtake over on that A side. Maybe not necessarily in space, but at least in power of numbers against anchored players, right? So maybe that's something that could be in conversation from Effie's with his team, for them to be a little bit more proactive or aggressive and confident on what they're currently displacing around the map when they're defaulting on their side, on their attack.
See if SRB can even safely cross into ramps. It seems like as soon as they even play through A main, Zaj or someone is in their face. SRB have to be ready to react at a moment's notice. How about this? SAD are just walking it down main. Smoke has found his pick into ramps, and that'll just draw SRB to that side of the map. SAD already know what the counter will be. And now it's this kind of chess match of pieces moving around the map. SAD thinking it can predict the next move, but SRB don't want to be that obvious.
They had to stall too. We were talking about the confidence after getting first picks, but they were already stalled by the smoke from Pain as well. So as they're being slowed down at that spot, they also realize the aggression from SAD at the beginning of the round towards middle. It gives him a chance to cut noise and to contact play up now into middle.
Storm 2 from Smoke. Needing to try and take that space a bit faster, take advantage of these moments of silence where you're ahead of the game against SAD. After the timeout, have SRB really downloaded the plan? Well, you've lost Satellite. You're still trying to get the plant down. SAD are trying to ruffle some feathers here on the high ground. SRB are on watch, trying to utilize that cover, and Smoke with an angle. He's got knives and cutlery in tow. But SAD, they got some fight back. They've got some grit, but they also only have 10 HP on their main duelist. Zaj gets tagged to both split from each other. And it's going to be hard to approach SRB when they're nested up like this. So some nice macro here from SRB after that timeout to get back on their feet.
Yeah. And that SAD Esports going with a heavy gamble, as we mentioned before at the beginning of the round, by having so much aggression into middle, 0 information and question marks onto the B main, because I think it was like a 4-1 even at the start. 4 on middle, 1 onto the A ramp. So when you're gambling at that spot, you're like, okay, let's fully commit. They might try to fight towards the A ramp for SRB, and then they create their own question marks around the map. And as they try to retake, they get caught off guard by the inserts that SRB kind of had. You saw a couple of backstab kills coming through from Shopify into the pulse plant. And yeah, that's a nice way to top up the round here and top up the lead back again for SRB, when they've realized right now that what they were trying to cook this round was not necessarily needed, because SAD just overcooked on their side.
funny how much slower Split has been so far compared to Lotus when you had a chamber up and like kind of the compositions there. SRB, again, not having a raise style of satcheling in your face, especially not against Sad. Nature now is the one opping. See if you can infiltrate. The boombot was already used though, so that won't be the tool to disrespect the pit. Nature has dog and flashes, but Sad, they got the whole classroom. A hail of bullets goes through. The pit comes crashing down. It's a 3K for Smoke, and SRB smile ear to ear.
That is a huge kahunas round for SRB. The disrespect that they have to walk contact into a pit and just dismantle all the X's on middle. It finished up into another 4-1 setup pretty much for the mid round. Again on middle, and SRB just outdueled their opponents. Even Exa getting the last pick onto Pain on a 1v1. That is pure aura for Shopify on that previous round. I also think it breaks the econ, if I'm not mistaken here. It looks like we still have a couple of rifles available and an op for Paint, so I take that back. You still have a little bit of fight in them this time around too, especially with the two big ults that they have from Paint and Welly and from Vita to maybe hopefully make this a little bit closer at the end of the half. I mean, especially if they could cycle a couple of these ults from this round into the next, they could be in a comfortable spot.
It reminds me of the SRB versus Core split, where it ended up being a 6-6 half when SRB started on attack, and it all boiled over into a 13-8. Shopify Rebellion, they level up when they get going, so... Ooh, the jump spot. I mean, this is kind of deja vu from Lotus. Won't be making that mistake again. Even Smoke is not someone who's going to be greedy to chase that. Go for the more quality opportunity. The Seeker's going to catch a lot of guns here being marked in mid. Sad don't want to encounter that kind of battle again.
I'm just really intrigued of how they're playing this for Sad. The Seekers had only one cabbage heading towards A main, yet they still put two players to really confirm that spot. So it leaves that gap for middle. The insert from Smoke is there, and he can have another big opportunity to backstab on middle once SRB starts full hitting this B site.
Thankfully, the op isn't going to be on this side. Smoke. This would be a nice angle to have if you had a Smoke that would watch your staircase, and Smoke comes down. SRB being exposed with what a flash. I mean, Settle's the only one that looked away. And Sad hit him right where it hurts. How Sad are able to kind of predict where these SRB pushes are coming from. To have the number, pretty much equal numbers in place, to have such a good fight back, it's not been easy for SRB to identify where these weak sites are.
I feel like there was a miscomm as well from SRB because Xander actually played a recall Smoke, which would have been perfect for Smoke to get that space in. Of course, we have the privilege of seeing all the 10 players, but that would have been a free kill onto the Sky. But it didn't. He had his bandit out and allowed for the Sky to actually move forward Welly with Pain to just overtake that B site, the B garage, and fight into the main with a beautiful flash. Now we're one round away. Explosive round for SRB right into the A site.
Jesus, and it all funnels them into the grasp of Zaj. Satellite sends Vita packing. Make sure to temper his aggression. SRB, meanwhile, do still get the plant despite the anchor of the Viper looming in screens. There is a Pain flank starting to form as SRB, very suspicious. 2v1 nature will trade. So that threat, that angle is dissipated. Sad's ankles might be shattered here, but they're allowed to cross within the site. And SRB watch at a distance, hoping to just rely on the Xander post plant. He's got 2 stars on that spike. Is it enough to buy time? Sad are not being encountered at all. SRB playing so safe and away from danger until the moment is right. 7-5 half for SRB.
That was the biggest thing too for Nature to group up with Exa to trade that kill onto Pain. If not, that potentially would have definitely been a SET Esports be able to tie the half 6-6. But having that pick on Pain allows for Xander to do his thing as an Astra. Just play the grab well, play the delay, and allow SRB to win off time. Nice little triple swing towards the end too to be able to win all of these fights. Spike not even in a halfway. Xander a little bit more quiet than he was on that first map, but this is where he actually shines. When we talk about SRB having split as their playground, is also on the amount of anchoring plays that is very good for both Xander and Exa when it comes down to this map. So SAD Esports, I feel like they understand that, and they want to try to topple that right away by double diving right into Xander.
This might be the obvious, but Xander is amazing on the defense. He went 10-1 against Core just on the B site alone. But SAD are a whole different beast, as Xander has to watch his friends back, and only so many bullets in the frenzy to stop the blitz. 2 versus 2. Extending out Pain when it wants to get ahead of the game, and Satellite falls. Nature with still a flash, Heard on the ropes. Now Clock is against him, but he isolates the 1v1, and Nature flourishes, and SRB take the second pistol.
Oh, that was insane coming out from Nature. The drop down, and I feel like that had to be explicitly the sound cue, that he did it on purpose to bait that he went onto the rope and then suddenly walks it up. Why the hell not? Because somehow this game, when you're on ropes, it's still fairly accurate. So you gamble that you're going to be able to win that fight when you're on that rope. Yet SAD Esports gave him enough time to actually get his feet on the top of that rail and to isolate 2 different fights and win that round to clutch it out for SRB. That was a huge round by Nature, and a great start as well on Smoke's Sheriff kill at the entrance of that B site. Now SRB has a chance to really close out this map, but look at this. This is a force buy that you have from SAD Esports after that plant.
How do you stop the storm? Well, you send Smoke in. 2 kills with the Marshall. That's the Smoke special for you. SRB trade blow for blow, and SAD can make it as close as they can after forcing with stingers, but SRB will remain in the driver's seat.
Gamble's gonna hurt as well. No plants, barely any kills. You're seeing Pain. He was about to go for another stinger armor buy, but this might be, I think he might be able to keep the stinger with no armor, so he could still have a good util and good weapons into the next round. But yeah, look at Smoke getting so much value on the top of the ramp. So the Vita wall was kind of like a smoke screen for themselves, smoke and mirrors for SAD Esports on the exit, because they would never look back into the ramp. Technically, you should cover it up, but that huge gap that you have between that and the wall, you have an opportunity here for Smoke to just open it up.
There's the flood there from SAD. Good util to try and suppress into screens, but the shotgun there has been heard, and you almost wish Smoke kind of stayed silent there. SAD know now the danger that awaits them. They play too close, the dogs will dance, but it's SRB that is starting to crack the shell in the armor of SAD, leaving Welly out to dry. At least there was a plant. Maybe at close range, the classic could still hurt. Xander, though, will not be touched. 3K for him as well. Double digits for SRB.
That's what you wanted the Stinger round to do here for SAD Esports on their previous round, to just close that gap, play those close battles in the post plant. But they did an incredible job for SRB to stop that at the very beginning. This round, though, it was the Stingers did get their value. They got the 2 picks. They did some good damage into SRB, forcing a couple of buys going into this round as well. So that might be a little bit of a silver lining with that Force glass cannon, or glass Stinger, if I could put it that way, for Vita and Paint. Puts them in a comfortable position for the gun round to also break the econ back onto SRB. But an op comes out for Smoke in this round, trying to play the bait and switch between both Smoke and Satellite in the front of that B garage.
Especially that close, too. Not even going to play the back of C. And this is where Smoke, he is at his most confident on defense. He always gets a ton of first kills. Not to caster curse it, but these are these walkdowns that contact plays he likes to do. Already hearing the teleport there of Pain. Smoke will stick to his position, keep the ground, but SAD, they're making ground. They've broken ground. They're on the top of B, and only Satellite is there to watch it. And here comes Exa to disrupt at the staircase. He's being careful. He's getting zoned by the snake bite. He still is able to puncture through SAD before they truly got going. And the plant, the spike, hasn't even dropped yet. So now a bunch of low HP members, Welly will bring them up. SRB, they sense the weakness. Smoke is now in garage with the op, and Sad are completely surrounded. And they don't even care about the op. They're just going to try and position against it, but there is too many bosses in this lobby for SRB. No good play, no safe space to try and sit at.
I did like the repositioning, unfortunately, of Paint in that pulse plant. The execution was beautiful for SAD Esports, though. The TP towards that back of the B site and also the Vita wall to allow for them to get the top rafters to open up B. But it's the recross. What is a recross out in the open when they have no garage control from the execution? Smoke gets a free kill, opens up the site. Now people have to be afraid and weary of an operator into the B main. So you focus on that. The rest of them could flood from the top of heaven. And then again, just topple down one by one for SAD Esports. They're forcing out the second timeout because, yeah, you've lost grasp now of this whole map. We talked about how SRB are really good on the defensive side. You're starting to even see Xander glow up here in the second half, but it's all around Smoke as well, with how he's unstoppable with marshals, with operators, with anything that he has so far. That does not allow for SAD Esports to really get a good footing on their attack side, especially when their force buy in round number 14 got denied.
Really has been good denials from SRB, from the op that sits at B, the many different ways they fought through there, even A, like through the insane flood, the amount of util that SAD throw in when they just are running it down at A with the super quick Vita style that they like to play around. Even then, SAD are met with some hurdles. So this is quite a gap in the scoreline, but nothing that SAD have never overcome before. It did so even against NRG on this very map. So this is something that this timeout, the last one now used from SAD, this has to be the turning point, or SRB will go to series point.
Wonder if it's a little bit of a split into middle towards the end, but right now it's putting Paint inserted on top of ramp to just keep some players on a defense on that line. And yeah, definitely, we'll have to see. The dog is going to get shot down right away, so that might still leave these three players on A. This has to be the call now for SAD Esports to move in a little bit more quickly into the B pop, because they have now a 4 versus 2 on that side.
SRB not fully convinced after that ramp push, and that's why X is clearing through mid. Will be able to stack into B, and Smoke will put up by a wall, put up a hand in SAD's face to stop the speed that SAD like to play at so much. But of course, the weapons at range will do all the talking. Satellite popping out, and no, it's his head that gets popped. Zaj can really impress you mechanically in these lower buys. Gotta respect SAD, they're moving in as a unit. Nature will bulldoze them down as a team, and SRB to match point. By the way, SAD's map pick, and they chose to go here, and this is a gladiator arena that SRB were very good at.
Yeah, and the reason why we're all thinking and questioning our heads too, looking at the BO5 into why these two maps are going to be Lotus and Split in the first place, because if you look at the map pool from SRB, it's probably their best maps going into the series. They're a little bit weaker on Haven and Ascent, which is map 4 and 5, and Pearl is untested. So there's the reason why I'm saying this is not over yet. SAD Esports has a chance to really reverse this to push this into a 5th map, but they're going into the same type of play, this time with 5 players into the B site.
Oh, and look at that changer from Satellite. But man, okay, SAD addressed it. I like those adaptations, because Smoke and Satellite have been so dynamic with how they've been holding B defensively, but Nature will have Seekers, 2v4, Anders or not, they're just almost don't even seem like they'd want to buy. Dodging the dog without having to shoot it does maybe hide the footsteps, and whoa, what a gap that Nature just shot through. Smoke is nowhere near the action, so this is not a retake, but rather, how costly can you make this for SAD?
Yeah, he's going to move in towards the B main side too. Both of these players are trying to look for exit kills because they know the economy is still very low for SAD Esports. So if they actually are able to take down these weapons, they might still be in a good position in the next round where SAD will not have the best of weapons overall. Willie's about to walk out with his knife out, so he's going to lose his... Oh, never mind, cast a curse. Willie stays alive going into that one and gives themselves a fighting chance here for SAD Esports. But I like that change from SAD. They went for it when they had like a half buy on that previous round to have the wall up and to move through with the Stingers. And they realized here that everything was working according to plan with the exception of Smoke with the operator. Well, this time, at least if you have 5 players, Smoke's going to kill 1, but at least there's going to be 4 of the players falling up behind that they could overtake the site. And thankfully, they're able to do so without even meeting Smoke in the first place and get the round.
Having a Neon on your team means you could leverage the ult and even some kind of shotgun play on attack, but closing the gap, you still have to try and get an SRB space, who've been really good at playing further back. Smoke not gonna pull the trigger yet. Seekers, dogs, SRB trying to suppress. Vita still jumps into all the action through the Seekers and everything. SRB happy to greet. Sad will move forward, but how? The flank has been shut down, the options limited. Sad have the high ground, but now needs someone within the site to clear Smoke.
They're scared. Look at that. Smoke's in the A side. They're like, oh crap, what can we do? We can't go into A anymore. Now we've lost all map control after the hit initially over on the A side. And now down to the middle. They're hoping that somebody's gonna overextend down towards sewer so they could punish him. It was Exa in the first place. But look at that. They play numbers. They play the time in their favor for SRB. And Exa still plays an aggressive line, but at least not in a place where he's gonna get he's gonna forfeit so much map control for SRB. So prime position right now for Shopify to close out this second map.
How SRB are dispersed too. They're confident about this re-hit. So all rides on Smoke. Now he hears that noise. He's gonna choose his moment carefully, and it's huge. Zaj down, 2 left. It's hunting season, and Welly's looking like prey. Misses the shot. He won't do so again. Barrel to the dome. 13-6 for SRB, and it's series point.
And stands up right after that kill too. Insane shots coming out from Smoke in the last couple of rounds on defense as this Jet operator. I mean, Roy was mentioning it on the desk, the reason why you have to keep an eye on a player like that, because he could definitely be another player that carries Shopify Rebellion into the brink of qualifying into at least the LCQ of the VCL.
But the form that SRB played at yesterday to what they showed us on Split, on not even their map pick, if they can hit that ceiling, if they could even surpass their expectations, SRB could be in a position to actually threaten the crown after always being the bridesmaid but never the bride. And up next will be Pearl, and that's what really kind of had all of our heads itching of why go to Pearl. The last time they went to it, it was M80's choice, and it was all the way back during the Swiss stage, which was pretty crazy. The final moments there for Smoke, no band spread. He's just happy to be here on his feet along with the rest of the team. This team is hyped up, and when they get going, it doesn't seem like anyone can stop them. So we'll have the desk break down what we could expect on Pearl and maybe our final map after the break.
Norelco OneBlade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco OneBlade 360.
Trim, edge, shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco OneBlade. One tool for all you need.
Jack's the repeat in nature is gonna get fired down. Pain's got it all.
Needs to kill Satellite. Jesus, I mean, he was quadruply Lotus Decider.
Heading into the second map of the series, SAD Esports pick. We're surprised to see split up on the list, and as well paired with the composition switch, thinking that maybe there's a greater scheme to it all. Maybe there was, but not something that came to light in the server. A strong 13-6 victory for Shopify Rebellion Black to put them up 2 in the series. I mean, looking back at that, again, we were questioning what ideas do we have going into this, but we didn't really truly get an answer.
Yeah, we had the questions. The Mosquitoes comp did come out here for the side of SAD Esports, but you guys gotta remember the fact that mosquitoes are repelled by smoke. So what are you gonna do when smoke's popping off like that, guys? Overall, I do think we saw like the idea, right, from SAD Esports on defense. We saw how they were trying to, you know, deny some of that space, make things uncomfortable for Smoke to look and work the op on attack, and that's why we saw, you know, the Neon coming in. You have the Waylay there as well, and then just fighting for that control and just trying to be as disruptive as possible. But then you swap over to the other half, and it felt like the plan of attack wasn't as fully fleshed out with how aggressively they were just, honestly, it was like we're just gonna hit site. We're gonna go fast, and we're gonna live by that, or we're gonna die by it.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive thing for me here is the fact that we have Shakespeare on the desk with us, Sierra, which is actually just
right?
she's just laying out bars for us right here. It's insane. But yeah, kind of to get a little bit more serious. Yeah, I mean, Comp had this, you know, they had this Comp in their back pocket, right? They've kept it secret, but unfortunately it backfired against them. They had an idea. They swapped the duelist. They wanted to try to catch a surprise. They probably have been practicing this Comp for a bit now, but I mean, just SRB's game plan and just how comfortable they're starting to look and how confident they're starting to look is a little scary, guys. It's a little scary. And I think the other thing is it kind of starting to feel like it's not just one person popping off anymore. Everyone on the team is kind of shooting back and everyone's becoming very decisive. Honestly, oddly enough, I really did not feel like the First Bloods were very sad-sided. But
Right?
It is somehow. It's just kind of a little surprising.
I think that when it comes down to those First Bloods, I get what you're saying. I feel like you take a look at just overall how well Vito is doing with those openers, how confident he has been in those opening picks, and just being able to take that space, and that's where SAD found a lot of that success. But again, SRB were so good when it came down to certain clutch moments, or again, very similar to what we've seen from them before, is when they're down in numbers, they are so good at finding a way to claw back into this matchup, and it feels like we constantly saw like 2Ks from Nature in certain moments where he's just being able to like kind of reevaluate and reset that numbers disadvantage that they're in. Not even just Nature, it could be like anybody on the side of SRB, but they're again so good at just in those individual moments playing together to ensure that they can make the most when they are down and around.
And I mean, looking at this map, you always know it's going to be a good map and just a good performance overall when you get Smoke on that Jet. And maybe he didn't drop 30. We just didn't have enough rounds for it, Roy. But again, the impact that Smoke always puts up is just, I don't know, it's crazy.
It really is. I think for me, it's just how consistent of an opera you are. And it's not like he can pull out any more tricks out of the bag, right? Like at this point, he's kind of starting to show everything, right? Like you kind of know what Smoke's up to at this point, right? But he still manages to find it. He still manages to wedge himself in your setups and make you uncomfortable and kind of just press the issue, right? Especially with any scope weapon, like whether it's the op, whether it's the outlaw, whether it's the marshal. Like, I mean, look at that, how the way he closed up the game. Like, what? 4K and then you go back. The dance, yeah, get it, man. Yeah, it's insane, man. He's so talented. I feel like we're almost like a LLM at this point, just repeating the same point. But it's not a hallucination. He's just very good at the video game, and he's not fazed by the pressure. He's locked in.
And I love that you mentioned that he's not fazed by the pressure, because I think when he first joined SRB, we kind of felt that a little bit as the team was trying to adjust to him. But now, even on camera, when you get to see those player cams, we're even seeing more of his personality come out. Like the fact that he hits the dance after winning out on that map, I think it says so much about the relationship that he's developed with his teammates, how much these boot camps mean to these players on SRB, and how much that can bring out the best in the players when we see them in the server.
I mean, this is the team that's really been able to push each other just to strive for more and more, right? And for Shopify Rebellion, they are so close to closing out this series and putting themselves here in the grand finals for the 3rd time this year. Coming down to Pearl, for Sad, a must win for Shopify Rebellion Black. This is their pick, and this map gets to be really interesting because, again, for Shopify Rebellion Black, we don't really necessarily see it the most. We've only seen it the once. But again, when you look back to Sad Esports' most recent viewing on it, Roy, the numbers look good. Once you peel that layer back, though, you realize just how many flaws, how many cracks there were in this map.
Yeah, I mean, they really got pressed by M80. There's really no other way to put it. But I still feel like despite that, the map looks comfortable for Sad Esports. So I haven't really lost hope yet. The only thing that really has me in a question mark, and I think has all of us in a question mark, is again the fact that SRB hasn't really played this map in a while. It's been like what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? Sorry, math is really hard, but like somewhere along the 5, 6, 7 area. But SRB is the type of team that pulls out these comps out of nowhere. They will look extremely drilled, especially when there's been such a big lull. And I feel like this late into the stage, they have a lot of tricks up their sleeves still, and it's about to be pulled out right here, which, again, I'm not very comfortable with the fact that SRB is 2-0 right now. I feel like if you're Sad Esports, you're shaking, not just because it's a complete scoreline, but it's the 2 maps that feel like you needed to close up at least one of them, because now you're coming into this uncharted territory, and you're gonna have to problem solve so much of what SRB is going to throw at you, assuming there's a comp stop, right? Maybe there isn't, but assuming there is, you're gonna have to problem solve all these issues on top of the pressure of the fact that you're about to be eliminated out of this tournament and have your year ending. So it's a lot of pressure, man.
It is a lot of pressure. The boon, though, for the side of Sad Esports, at the very least, is the fact that they are starting out on the attacking side first. And that's where they found that success looked a lot more comfortable here on Pearl compared to defense. So there's a world where they can try to get that momentum going for themselves as we head into this 3rd map. They were really good when it came down to a lot of that mid control that we were seeing on some of those very quick splits. So I think that for Sad Esports, there's a world where if they can have a good start, win out that pistol round and try to find some momentum, they could definitely take us to a haven. SRB, though, listen, guys.
Say it.
Maybe we haven't seen them in a while. Sure, they lost to M80, but this is a team that also stage 2 lost to M80. 0-13 on this map. And played it the next day and won, guys. They played it the next day and won. So
yeah,
I'm not really concerned. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really too concerned here for the side of Shopify Rebellion and Black. I think I'm just excited to see what they're going to be pulling out, because I think that there should be some changes when it comes down to that composition. Just a question of what direction they want to be going in.
And here's where I'm at, okay? I think all signs are pointing to a very comfortable SRB match right here, but assuming that somehow Sad Esports survives this, I feel like the next 2 maps should be a lot more manageable for them. But here we go. The double duelist composition for SRB is out and about. The Jet, the Phoenix for Satellite, the Vice. It's about to be absolutely explosive. I'm glad to see the double duels come out. It's looked a lot better for them on the other maps. I'm expecting that same look here, of course, on Pearl. But again, guys, a reminder, on this map, defense is very awkward. I want to see SRB being proactive on the map control. Do not get shut out. Do not get suffocated if you want to have a comfortable defensive half. And for Sad Esports, you need to strike early in this game. Get that confidence up and start that momentum rolling as soon as possible.
And they absolutely will have that opportunity to control that tempo on the attacking side. Those changes here for SRB, though, I think are going to be a huge difference maker for them, having Nature on that fade instead of that the Tejo that they were running there for Satellite previously, and then Satellite being on that Phoenix. Getting away from that Sova, it's just going to work out very nicely, I feel like, especially that recon utility, trying to scan past Vita's Neon Wall as well as Paint's Phoenix Wall, going through to ensure that they can deny some of those fast takes or just capitalize on any mistakes that Sad Esports are making when they're looking to crunch onto those sites.
I mean, for Sad Esports, this could be their final stand. If they can get past the hurdle that is Pearl, the next 2 maps they've beaten SRB on before, but the series hasn't gone their way so far. So time to see if they have enough in the tank to close out Pearl, or if it's going to be Shopify Rebellion Black to put themselves into the grand finals. Let's get our 3rd map started with your casters. Back over to Lemon Kiwi and Van Silly.
Thank you, Sierra. And I agree with the desk. The last stand for SAD, and it's on SRB's map pick. Kind of a weird one. We haven't seen it in a while, as they summarized well. But if there's one thing I can describe SAD as, it's very resilient.
Agreed. And a good thing about SRB choosing this map was because of the compositional change that you currently see right now from the side of Shopify. So putting smoke onto that jet instead of a chamber, I still think is very good on this map, especially the lines that smoke could really take could be a lot more aggressive on the defensive side than it could be with a chamber. And always smoke is going to be proficient on a jet no matter what. SAD Esports, though, I do agree with you. When it comes down to having grit and having lots of fight for SAD, they definitely do have it, and it comes in spades, especially when it comes down to these pistol rounds. And when you're playing this type of map with Vita on a Neon, with Paint as a Phoenix, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of like bandits going into the pistol round too to try to close the gap and go into the fight. So let's see what happens here. A Sheriff for Welly, Ghost, double Sheriff too, and Util to fight towards the A main.
And SAD in that series against M80 didn't look pretty, but Vita, 6 first kills, like a large part of their fight back was behind this Neon. Probably a reason why this could be a good map for them. See how they could try to flood in, but just the molly sets this SAD attack ablaze, and Nature's just the cherry on top. Not the first time that SAD get completely stopped when they bring that speed to the table. I mean, we just saw it on Split, and SRB take a very convincing pistol after that.
Had to be a grab well or something there too, right? Like at Xander, he's got 3 assists. So going in the combination of a hot hands onto the front side, and also seeing that the nature of what SAD currently has on the attack side when it comes to trying to get space and entry on sites, there's no dashes, there's no updrafts, there's no double dash from a whaley, nothing. So you're just running straight into it. And unfortunately, everything catches you. You just burned to a crisp. A great start for SRB, but not the one you wanted to look for SAD. I did mention in that second map with the comp change that you had for SAD, it was basically a make it or break it, where especially in that second map, it was one-sided for the side of SRB in terms of results. So SAD, hopefully they still have a little bit of gas in a tank and confidence here to fight in this third map.
You still have hope when Zaj is still alive as well. One of the most mechanical people on the team, but man, just barrel stuffed, suffocated at this choke point. SAD have just not been able to really command a lane. And you know, they're on an eco. You only expect so much, but can't brute force at all. Looking like almost a flawless round or SRB. And this is that type of scaling. Yes, it's early in this map, but SRB looks so good, not dropping a single round in the second half there of Split. And SAD have to kick off this map on attack, which they didn't take an attacking round on Split. So it's really do or die.
Silver lining is that we have a plant. So that's money for SAD going into the next round. But what I have to think about here, and what they have to think about for SAD Esports, is how to counteract against this util from SRB. And even look at the setups that you currently have here from Exa. He has probably a lineup to throw those Razor Vines into main, because he set up a wall towards the B side. So you have to think about how to entry towards this site. What do you have in terms of util to break Razor Vines, to break util or whatnot? You don't have anything really on the side of SAD Esports. So it has to be one of those looks on the attack side, especially when you're playing double duelist, to not go as pedal to the metal as expected. You kind of have to start scaling up a little bit more slowly, because you have to basically bait out the stars, bait out the first wave of util that stops you from entering towards these sites. And hopefully they'll understand that as they move forward here.
That's kind of the trade-off of running a fade versus the Sova. You can't have as much deep pressure into B, but these close corners could leverage a good fight. And Vita, the opener, the first kill for SAD with rifles in tow. Exa already wrapping around, good flash. He's just gonna be self-sufficient. Takes care of the ace up SAD's sleeve, but Welly goes in fearlessly to get 3 and even reset the run it back. But he had the spike. All good. Maybe you won't even need it. It's a 1v1 though. After a 3K, things are looking a little hairy. And see if SAD can hold on. Nature's just playing with his food, and locks in when it matters the most.
That is insane plays coming out from both Exa and Nature to close things out on that map. But the anchoring from Exa was huge. Because Xander falling down, that's all the stars gone. But because they had the read and putting the Vice at the right spot, look at how much HP immediately eliminates from the health bar of Vita, probably at 70%. And then even the rest of the team trying to follow behind it, we're just stuck. So you go for a flash, an easy pick. You see now Paint falling down, and then all the rest of them also getting stalled by the great plays of Exa. This is such a heart attack side now for SAD to play. And if they don't commit and convert this round here, or get at least some sort of damage onto SRB, there's got to be a timeout for a talk.
One down.
Yeah, pick your poison. If it's not a Gravwell Molly, it's Smoke with some form of a sniper. I mean, he had an opener with the Marshall. He's upgraded to an Outlaw. Imagine once he gets the op going. There's not going to be a safe part of the map for SAD. And with a Stinger buy, you're just hoping to get close enough that you can be in punching distance. Prowler, based on where that's positioned, you think SAD would want to wrap around A, but really they just kind of want this round wrapped up. They've lost 2 already. They are just going to bring it to SRB. Vita with a pick will give him a weapon upgrade, but Xander stands tall as that anchor. He does get suffocated. SAD, I like that delay, that kind of bait and switch. Try and make this possible, but Smoke has emerged and Nature ends it 4-0 now for SRB.
You see Xander getting the kill onto the spike here on Welly, falling down, and you got to recross back towards the front to pick up the spike. Nothing you could really do there, but at least what was good for SAD Esports was that they crossed the line of scrimmage over on the B side. So they have ways of entries, but they're losing bodies in the process every single time. So hopefully going into these rounds, it could be a little bit more clean for them to have more bodies to set up in these post plant scenarios if they're able to get the plant down. There's not going to be a timeout being called by SAD Esports yet, probably because of how they were able to enter the way that they wanted to, but also because maybe the calls from Welly going into this round of the freeze time was good enough according to what was heard from the ears of the coaches.
Information early there from Nature. Orb grab, Vita, one away from the overdrive. Run it back. We'll kick things off for Paint. Let's see how deep he can go. The Haunt, though, catches him. Reset without really getting too much information. Just half of the real estate watched for Paint. And already seeing the angles that SRB have to surround SAD once they go in. They are not liking how murky those waters are.
And it was one run it back and lots of utils being used, though, for the side of the A site to stall. Right now, you can really see for SRB, they could simply play the 4-1 setup because of the Vice util that is not really being contested on that B side.
Hey, Vita tried to isolate the chase down onto Xander and takes a moment to catch his breath, and SAD work together, but it gets Smoke. He's a one-man army. A 3K with the op at close range at that. The flicks from Lotus return, and he is just a demon. Blades out, looking for the ace. Up on top, sends Welly to heaven. Smoke is on fire.
What an insane ace by Smoke, with the amount of op shots close range that he held towards that back of the A site. I talked about a 4-1 setup that was going to be still perfect for the side of SRB because they have power of numbers, but he doesn't even need the numbers. He evaporates the whole SAD roster attempting to entry towards the A site. Keep dancing, Smoke. I had to yell over that, so at least I was a self-censor onto what Smoke was saying there.
He gotta chill out before he breaks a headset or you know, his voice goes
Hey, hold
out.
on. Talk over this. Talk over this. There you go.
Well, now you guys have to hear us talk more, unfortunately, because SAD just took a timeout, and this is a good moment. There's some tools for them to work with.
Good moment. It should have been the previous round when they had money to work with.
Hey, you're so true. I'm trying here, man. I'm trying here. Nature hasn't died too in 5 rounds. That's impressive.
Yeah. What's even more impressive, unfortunately, is for Paint and Paint getting 0 value so far. They've died 5 times and gotten 0 kills, but that's also just in the nature of how SRB are just in full control of the defensive side. This is just insane what we're currently seeing so far. And how good the shooting is. It's not just on like the util and the macro and the setups of SRB. It's just whenever SAT Esports are moving in with so many bodies, look at how they're getting denied.
Smoke hiding his presence carefully while the rest of SRB maintain, but Zaj and Paint, the whole squad will stick it to this defense. And for once, the lowest buy that SAT have had in a while, managed to get a ton of upgrades. As that timeout really helped them stay composed. Now the dust has settled. SAT have really cleared the way for any site to get hit.
Yeah, the good news is with the cloud that they just had towards Art, that's 2 weapons that they could pick up too, for Zaj and for Paint. Right now, to be honest with you, they should give that rifle onto Welly so that he could actually move in with Paint at fuller HP into Nightfall to really get in. But maybe it's just on, okay, let's ult, get the guys to entry in while I plant the spike as well. But this would be kind of good here for SAT Esports to get this round, especially when they're at a 5-0 deficit. The wall contact, I do like a lot, though. This could allow an instant trade against Nature.
30 seconds left.
To split up this duo is a risk for SRB. The barrel spotted. Nature! Oh, he's at it again! Oh my god! The heroics, the X factor that SRB brings to every situation that they're outnumbered in. This has gotta hurt SAT. That looked so winnable. It should have been one.
It's the 2 guys with the rifles that died. Willie's stuck only with the ghost. The wall contact I like, but the gun sticking out. Nobody wide swung onto the second one too. I guess it's just the angle too. You saw the wide swing cut out from Zaj, but Nature was just a little bit more out. That just allowed for him to get a little bit more ready into that. But man, that, I mean, at the end of the day, this was still an equal round for SAT Esports, and the timeout was for this round right here. That's the silver lining. That's the only cope I have going into this round here for SAT Esports, but SRB are just looking to close this right now.
There.
Some limitations, some hoops for SAT to jump through. Prowler to explore the A side of the map. We're hoping to get Vita activated as he's been shut down a lot. The overdrive, will it be enough to tilt the scales? A Nightfall too? The main way of getting information has been around Welly, who wants to conserve this last Prowler, this everything he has left to actually hit the site with.
Look at the position from Smoke. That's what I was trying to say earlier too. Not needing to put Smoke on a chamber for every single round too. The amount of space that he's able to garnish right now with the operator is huge. They're even going for double extremity control. Oh no, the ult just for 1. I mean, you'll take it.
Nature finally dies. It's like, what, his first death, and you have to throw a whole Nightfall at him. Talk about respect. 5 versus 3. The Cosmic Divide's still intact, but where Zaj is, I mean, he is on a journey, completely catching SRB off guard after they were still trying to regroup and they felt secure for the moment. And Zaj, I think that's why you let him keep the rifle. No matter what HP he has, he is a shooter.
Indeed, that was a nice little one from Zaj, and that allows here for SAT Esports to get the first round finally on the board. I still want to respect the double push on the side, and Nature, who's been unstoppable so far at 9-0, why not? He plays a 1v1 on that spot. But it did take a lot here for Welly to be able to win that duel against Nature. So wasting out that Nightfall is that silver lining as well for SRB in the later rounds. But you are starting to see a little bit of exploration more from SAT Esports into middle instead of the extremities, because they realize right now that when it comes down to these quick hits and these quick fights on the extremities, there's just too much stall from the Astra and the Vice util. So maybe that is going to have to be the conditioning opening that you're trying to do for the next couple of rounds for SAT Esports until you finally start going back into extremity control.
This has got to be an important round for SAT to take, also for morale, although it desperate decision making to get it done. But a 0 that turns into a 1, turns into a 2, turns into a SAT comeback. Remember how far ahead SRB were on Lotus and how SAT never gave up. Now for the orb grab, the Prowler dodge. Xander goes unnoticed. Nature's a victim, but this opens up the pit for Xander to take advantage. He's concussed, and he still gets one. A second kill after that. Holy value.
Razor Vines. Huge.
Hey, run it back. Hey, Satellite will get reset, but Sad are in a position to push him.
Going up.
As Payne has to take his time, and here comes reinforcements for SRB to bail out their Phoenix. And all of this fire is obstructing the Sad pathing. They still have 46 seconds left.
I think you could just play the retake too for SRB. Why not? I love the stall in the teamwork though from both Satellite and Exa. Calls out the Razor Vines, run it back just to confirm the kill on the first one, and still allows SRB to have a player advantage. If it has to come down to it as well,
30 seconds
you
left.
have the Steel Garden available for Exa for them to retake. It will allow for Smoke to fight with the operator as well and give a chance here for SRB to make this 7-1. You hear the plant as well from the POV from Smoke, so here comes the rotate.
Right, SRB having set up Smoke on this high ground. You have Payne. Doesn't have any ways to obscure that vision. Flash out, Smoke, barrel quick to the trigger, and Steel Guarded. Just to deny Payne one final time, but she didn't take away his weapon. You haven't taken away his ability to come back, but it took all three of SRB to stop Payne, so whatever gets the job done, I guess.
That was a very nice try by Payne, but I also love the decision from Smoke on that 2 versus 1. Instead of trying to chase towards that back to trade against Xander, felt like he already lost the timing of being able to trade instantly because he had a shorty out right over here. So he dashes back into the front, right where Exa's at, just to instantly trade against Exa. That was very nice. If you hunted him towards that back, that probably would have been a win con for Payne, which would allow for him to isolate 3 individual fights. And now SRB, they already stopped the bleeding. But thankfully, after the plant that we just had from SAD Esports, it allows for him to still have a full armor buy with rifles.
Roy mentioned on the desk that the defense on this map is the side that is very awkward, and Smoke proves that he is just immortal. He gets first picks every time, and even funny enough, last map, 11 of the first bloods went Sad's way. So they're usually the ones that are killing it in openers. Now it's a deficit they're really unfamiliar with. And without Vita, it's not going to be easy. Maybe if Paint get the run it back, but you need a kill to do that. And the Thorns, the Razor Vines will stand in their way, and Nature already puts up an early resistance. The angle, though, from Zaj, he finds it. Neural Theft, good information. 180s against Xander. Zaj will will this win into existence if he has to. Assad got first blooded. SRB find themselves behind. Satellite just pops up right past the other guy. And look at this retaliation. The back and forth, the advantages go. Watching carefully as Paint, Smoke started it. Will he end it? Something better to brawl with. The Vandal, the double up, the duo. Well, he gets ahead of it. And Sad get their second round of the half.
Nice repositioning by Satellite, though. Almost won that round here for SRB, but just too many players in the end, thanks to this lurk entry by Zaj. That first pick and even getting the hat for the info, it allows for them to set up a little bit better here in the pulse plant scenario until Satellite almost made miracles happen. But look at how interesting these rounds have been turned out to be. 6 rounds in a row won by SRB, yet this is only their second round loss, and it's already an eco on their side. It's just to show here how brawly these rounds have been from both extremities here. Especially the lower buy that you had from Sada did a lot of econ damage. Allows for him to still have 1 foot in the game.
So close. The C's Blaze Hands was almost a killer, but hey, the bullets still land. Zaj has been such a huge part of this fragging department for Sad. And it's an eco too. Not having to give up any of these weapons would be ideal. You still have 2 people on Sad, low on credits. So Sad, will this be their way to make this half a little less painful, a little less daunting for them to overcome on their defensive half?
And that's what I was mentioning before, right? The amount of conditioning that Sad has been doing on fighting and opening towards Art, towards Street. In the last 2 rounds, he had a wall coming up and now entries on both extremities. Really trying to keep their opponents on their toes. A nice little attempt there, but the curveball goes behind everybody. It's still a home run hit for the side of SAD Esports to entry towards the A site for the plant.
Giving it to Pain to get that run it back online as soon as possible. Here comes Exa. Oh, nothing you can do against the curveball, and Paint really looking good in this map, and he's been a big story or a big talking point for SAD's story of what version of Paint are you going to get today. He was so well known as such a high statistical duelist back in the day when he was a solo duelist, when we were in a solo duelist meta. Now he's had to be that Phoenix support or someone that flexes around Vita. And now he's really been able to be pivotal in rounds like that. SRB taking a timeout to see, and their first timeout, see how they want to close out these last 2 rounds.
Wonder if it's positioning Pain into one of the middle areas now. Because when you're looking at it from the setup of SRB, the amount of time been saying so far that SRB's Exa's utility isn't really being contested from the Vice wall to the Razor Vines yet. And even if they go for the extremities, the wall is going to help towards the B side. And they also have Xander's utility over on the A side. And they also have Nature that could seize. So right now, the gap that they currently have in the space that they allow SAD to take could really be on middle. So if you kind of lock that down at the very beginning with the way that Smoke's been shooting so far, that at least gives you early information if he doesn't land a shot. And even if he dies, allows for players to repivot to focus a little bit more on how to readapt towards the mid round. So maybe that could be the call going into this one as well, to not overextend behind the util that's already being placed by both Xander and by Exa in the first place. And it might be the case you're starting to see Smoke moving up on that side, but he's not going for the aggressive line up towards Art yet. He's looking like he's trying to hold it back towards the street instead, or towards the back of the stairs instead.
Nature's able to play his life pretty well. SAD haven't been able to chase him down. It's almost like Nature is bait so they can pull Smoke out and see if he can get an op shot, or if not, a C. Something. Smoke, though, second shot, first kill. Nature holds the wall, and SAD have no other way around or possibly through this, because Paint doesn't even have the run it back yet. And you do not want to fight into Smoke's op. It's just not going to go well. And X is not going to waste any time taking map control. So SRB are not taking a vacation. They're hoping to send SAD on one.
And that's what exactly I was trying to say too. Just trying to leverage Smoke to get the first line of defense. So when, I guess the way that they were positioning themselves towards that street, if there was going to be any util being thrown in the first place towards that A main, you fight towards A main. If there's nothing, you start double walking your duelists up towards Art. So what happens instead? Util comes out, you play the recall smoke from Xander, he takes the line with the operator, but even if he misses the shot, what was thrown there? Razor Vine, Seize, Hot Hands, a suck, everything. You can't really get into the A site, and Smoke still gets a kill on top of that. What an insane hold here by SRB, and yet SAD still not understanding here that it's so hard for them to just plow into those A sites or into the extremities when that util's still up.
I could probably only count on one hand how many plants SAD have had. I mean, prevention duty. The protocol is strong. Another angle. Try to get as close as you can to the op. Satellite resets Paint. Resets the momentum of SAD. Last round of the half. And SRB are just impenetrable. No matter what route you choose, there is no shortcut. And it just doesn't seem like a way to win an attacking round. SAD now hesitate. We'll see. I mean, SRB throwing util and Paint still catching strays. Pain and Zaj against the world, it seems, and we'll have to find another way through this map.
The micro's huge there from both Satellite and Nature. He goes for the Prowler. If somebody's close, they flash a double swing. Nobody's there. He jumps on the ledge. He gets contact, and if they run down, there's still a flash needed to trade out if needed be. But Nature gets that pick. Player advantage. Leg shot at least there, but still, the win is coming. Yeah, check a PC.
Smoke is insane. This whole team is looking well-rounded. Pain, he feels the pressure, feels the heat, but can't get out of the kitchen fast enough. So 9-3 is how this first half and potentially final map ends. What's sad, they have come back from worse than this. You guys wouldn't believe. 10-2, forces overtime. It really is gonna have to depend on their mentals. And SRB are a frustrating team to play against because they'll shoot your body. They do a bit of yapping. You don't hear that part, but you know it. You know what SRB are saying about you. But sad, if there's one thing that they've really shown throughout this lower bracket, through this whole playoff, is how they've been able to stay as steady as they can through really the pits of deficits.
If they don't hear it through the screens, at least they hear it from the body shooting that's going on here from SRB too when they're getting these kills. So they're definitely playing the mind games for the attack side this time around for Shopify. Nearing the end of closing this out in a 3-0 fashion in this series and secure at least the LCQ to face up against their prime rival of M80 in the grand finals tomorrow. SRB looking to close out the piss round by storming the front of the B site.
Feeling good, they're feeling confident. You heard the dash. SAD are split from each other. Independent, the solo plays need to be big, but man, when people are jumping across your screen, what are you supposed to do? The frenzies, the pistols, and SAD are not looking like they got much fight left in them after all. Double digits for SRB, the finish line in sight. Will SAD force here, or will they just really bank on the first rifle round next to be the turning point?
Still insane that somehow, with 3 players going in the back of the hallway, a flood comes in from SAD Esports. They're forcing the hand of the players of SRB to move back towards the front of the site to plant because Nature already moved towards that back with the spike in the first place. Yet, they couldn't convert their kills for SAD. Looking at it so far, I wonder what's going on here. 2 players are still staying static into the spawn. Yeah, okay, so they're just having 1 player move up, trying to get info for Welly, and then fast rotate with the ones that could rotate quickly.
Marching in, SAD from the top ropes, hoping to wrestle against SRB, do the damage that they can, but they are just feeding the orbs to the beasts of SRB, converting potentially a flawless anti-eco. And more bodies are being shot, words are being said, and silence in the camp of SAD. Is it they were banking? They didn't force that second round because they're really hoping that this will be the moment that they can straighten their posture and remain alive in this map.
If there's no timeouts left for SAD, I can't remember. I feel like this is probably the reason why you had players still stay in
Just
spawn.
one.
Yeah, okay, so Welly maybe called something while they were in the pistol round while he's grabbing the orb and then saying we could try to do something here and then maybe save our timeout for a more important round. Because they were on an eco anyways and they're now playing into the gun round, an Odin out in the hands of Welly.
I'm out of here.
Oh boy.
That's Vita, that's your biggest shooter, and even he's having an off day. SRB not even getting traded out, some damage being done. The flash though, when SAD are caught underwater, drowning and floundering as SRB series point, match point looms, satellite. Even he's having an incredible day. A 3K in that round, and he's just off on his own. He's in the defender spawn.
That's what I'm saying. He's where they buy guns. He's still full HP. That's insane what just happened there for Satellite. Catching Vita off guard, but still making it in towards that spawn to get 1 pick off the rotate, yet still get another pick while he picks up a weapon and still gets a kill. But the wall bang, double kill from SRB onto the streets. They just understood the bait and switch. They didn't even care if they were blinded. They weren't setting up their crosshairs for the swing. They're just spamming the boxes and got double kills there. This just shows the dominance of SRB. They want to close this right away, and they want to show here to M80 that they're going to have 1 fight up ahead against them tomorrow in Championship Sunday.
Same protocols,
Joke's over.
Flash, Prowler, run it back. Nothing to laugh at. Joke's over. And SRB hoping to expose his team one final time. As the judges up close are silenced, Vita has to get in position. He's in the smoke and he waits patiently. Look at where, Xander is. A flank that Sad could not mark in time until Xander's impact has already been felt. It's a splash from SRB, having all 5 still intact. And Sad looking like a puddle out here. Welly, Vita, Zaj together for potentially the final time.
Now the camera gets broken, so confirming that the hit's coming towards B.
Okay, Zaj has the lineup. 3 headshots. He gives them a raft. Gives them a chance to stay afloat.
30 seconds left.
Satellite identifies Vita. Flicks onto Zaj. Is this how it ends? There's no way. Sad thought they stabilized, and it's the IGL, the captain. And he's locked in. No words being said. He needs to be loud. He jumps in the middle. He's flashed. He's dead. And so are Sad. A grand finals rematch. Destiny between SRB and M80.
And that's something that Smoke mentioned before in the upper brackets a long time ago against EG Academy when they won. They were expecting a grand finals matchup against M80. Not in this fashion, though, for Shopify Rebellion Black to have to go down into a lower bracket run after losing to SAD Esports in the upper semis. But Shopify Rebellion, they get their revenge against SAD and are looking for their revenge against M80, a team that they have yet to beat in the stage number 3. But again, a grand finals to be expected to be one hell of a banger.
The way that SRB end their series, they don't just win, they bury their opponents. I was a witness to that murder just yesterday against NRG Academy, ending Lotus 13-1, a scoreline that I don't think we've seen all of playoffs, and at the very least, not in Challengers in a top 4 situation. They just ended Pearl with 13-3. And Sad were also looking like a team that could contest them. Sad has beaten SRB before. And look how the tides have changed. This is insane. We have a rematch of the grand finals going down tomorrow. And with how loud SRB are, I'm going to be so excited to hear from this interview with Sierra. So guys, don't go anywhere.
Philips Norelco OneBlade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco OneBlade 360.
Trim, edge, shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco OneBlade. One tool for all you need.
X, the repeat in nature, is gonna get fired down. Pain's got it all.
Needs to kill Satellite. Jesus, I mean, he was quadruple Lotus Decider.
Congratulations to Shopify Rebellion Black for taking down the lower finals and putting themselves into the grand finals. The matchup that seemed destined to be up against M80. I mean, even just like within this series, Shopify Rebellion, they had talked about the mistakes. They talked about, you know, the pressure, everything else. And going on into today, Ash, I mean, that's a statement, a 3-0, especially how they close out those last two maps. Like, incredible.
And I think that that was what Shopify Rebellion wanted to bring to the server today, right? They wanted to do it in a dominant fashion, and they absolutely showed that here on Pearl. That 13-3, where they were in control the entire time. Sad Esports, they kicked things off with trying those 4-1 splits over towards that A site. They had Zaj lurking over in mid. I do want to give them, you know, credit when due. After that timeout, right before round 6 there for Sad Esports, into their actual buy round of round 7, they actually find their first round on the board, right? They make the adjustment. Instead of doing that 4-1 split, they go and they try to contest mid a little bit more. They take that pause and they wait to see if SRB will make any mistakes. You have Welly, who even goes up into mid window. He ends up using that Nightfall to catch Nature off guard, and they find that success. But SRB are so quick to just flip the script again the next round, and I think that says so much about the comfort, and also what Smoke was just generally doing in the server was criminal. This ace was crazy and absolutely hitting the celebration afterwards. You knew the map was done the second we saw that.
No, I mean, they were moving and feeling real nice. I gotta be honest, but to kind of circle back more on like on the strategic side of things besides individual performances, I do feel like SRB came in with a really good game plan into this game, right? Moving the Vice around a lot, making them uncomfortable, shutting down the kind of the aggressive and fast pace that Sad Esports were trying to do early on. And I feel like that kind of got into their head, and it sort of forced them into this like kind of slow pace, and also forced them into this like these like awkward strats, like the B splits that are so rare. Like I feel like not a lot of B splits work quite well, and just forcing them to do all these like unconventional paces and strategies, and it kind of just really played into Smoke's hands. And just the way he was feeling on split and the way he continued to feel on this map, I mean, it was just insane.
Yeah, it was his day, that is for certain. I think the other thing I want to give credit for the side of Sad Esports, though, is while we're saying goodbye to them today, and unfortunately their chances at making it to the play-ins, they also had, you know, a couple ideas that, even though they weren't working out, I think were pretty cool. Like when they were trying to contest A main on attack, there were moments where we saw like Pain was throwing the hot hands, and then it was comboed with the grab while they're from Pain as well, trying to deny that forward push that they knew was going to be coming out from Satellite and Nature. It doesn't work out in their favor, but there were moments where Sad did have ideas that they were trying to put in the server, but it says so much about how SRB were able to deny some of those plays that Sad were trying to make work, and how like confidently and comfortably they were able to do so.
I mean, for Sad Esports, even if, you know, as you said, the journey ends here, like they should be so proud of themselves too for the run that they put together. Like even if maybe going out 0-3 isn't exactly how you would have wanted to end, this is a team that didn't make playoffs last stage, right? We got to see that they had a member switch going into this, had to like kind of rebuild on that identity, right? Whereas teams like SRB and M80 have had more time in the server to really be able to get those reps and the team chemistry. So to put together what they have into a run as incredible as this, to where like there was that real upset potential within this all, Roy, I think it's so impressive. And like, again, they should be very proud of themselves.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it feels really bad if you're the Sad players, but yeah, this is such an immaculate run. I mean, you have to consider this as well. Like when this split started, no one was singing their praises. Like, oh, they flew under the radar. No one was talking about them. I mean, obviously some of us on the desk where, you know, we're like, hey, this is a sleeper roster. Like, don't sleep on Sad Esports. Like this roster looks insane. Like the talent on here is so clear. It's night and day. Obviously it sucks to lose and it sucks to have your year ending here, but they should all keep their heads high. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of these players at the top very, very soon, sooner rather than later. That's for sure.
I think on that note as well, just specifically focusing even a little bit more on Welly. I think we've seen a lot of growth and how he's been able to lead his team here inside of SAD Esports, and there's absolutely so much pressure on him as from a leadership standpoint in today's matchup being this lower final. I think that it's been really cool to see the debut for these players, and that growth and potential for what is to come going forward is the sky's the limit, honestly, for a lot of the players, all of the players on the side of SAD Esports.
It really is. And I mean, now we have to talk about Shopify Rebellion Black, because remember, the stakes going into stage 3, into this playoffs, was play-ins or even LCQ. And with this victory today, regardless, Roy, of what happens tomorrow, Shopify have now at least at minimum gotten LCQ. If they lose out tomorrow, they still have that opportunity to play for a play-in spot. If they win, they just straight up go to play-ins. Like for SRB, there is still that chance. Their journey, regardless of what happens tomorrow, will get to continue.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, they're in that regard for sure, but also you have to keep in mind that LCQ, like no team is safe there. I feel like it's scary to go to the LCQ because everyone's hungry. I'm sure both M80 and SRB want the win tomorrow. They want to go straight into plans. They want to skip all this nonsense. They want to just get the reps in, fix up whatever they want on their own leisure time, and just come in strong for plans. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to SRB. Obviously, they always manage to bounce back. Their will to win is never shaken despite how rough the road might look, and I'm excited to see them play again tomorrow.
It'll be so exciting. And of course, need to go hear from the team for a Phillips Norelco interview. We have two legends here on the line. We have Effies and Nature. I mean, Effies, I want to start with you because, of course, I want to talk back to the decision you made at the beginning of the year to join this SRB roster instead, right? This is this new project for you, this new team. It's now a team that 3 splits in a row, we've gotten into the grand finals. You've now at minimum secured LCQ. Like, how do you feel about this journey you and this team have taken?
I feel pretty good about it. Like, this is kind of what I wanted. Like, obviously, I would like to have gotten first place in both these splits, but I did this move to challenge myself a bit because I felt like I had stagnated a bit. So I do feel very challenged. I feel very stressed, but I'm learning so much, and I feel like I'm getting better at my job, like a lot. So this is all I ask for.
I mean, it's been awesome to see. And Nature, now going into this stage, I mean, Effies was talked to at the beginning of the stage, how things have kind of changed a little bit with being able to set up smoke, right? Identifying the team a little bit, right? And I feel like through it all, like you're IGLing and then just the lack of IGL tax on you in the server has just been incredible. Like, is this a testament to like the work that you and Effies are putting in? Is this just something you're so comfortable with? Like, you have been on a complete tear lately.
I mean, yeah, it's credit to everybody, I think, not just like us two, but I mean, I think this split compared to the second split, I think we were definitely like trying to vibe because we had just picked up Dylan and tried to like just work with it, because I think once we picked up Dylan, we had like 5 days, then it's our first match and everything. We got a little bit of time. We had a lot of hard conversations, arguments. That's what like grows you as a team sometimes. So I think it's a testament to everybody being able to willing to argue and everything and grow from it.
I mean, there's so much that happens behind the scenes, and Effies, you're now with this group where, I mean, there's been some arguments, but like we can see on the player cams and stuff, like the vibes, we've gotten to see everyone come together. Like, what's it been like vibes wise, leading this new group of individuals to what you've done?
I think it's been really good outside the server. Like, sometimes in the server during scrims there are definitely arguments, but outside the server, I mean, we vibe pretty well. We've been lucky that we've been boot camping for a long time thanks to Shopify. So like we've been boot camping for a bit. That definitely helps. We have Alex forcing us to play board games every night. Xander forcing us to play board games every night. We go out to eat. Like we just vibe very well together, and like we have a bunch of kids that just like to have fun and shit. So I think it's very important to have fun. My teams, I always put so much emphasis on that, to just be happy to show up to work every day.
I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It's working out. And I want to talk about that fun and everything here, and Nature, ask you about how that translates into the server as well. Because again, it seems like the vibes are immaculate. I know like the team's definitely been put through some trials as of late. This has been a little bit more of a difficult playoff to run, but like the cam's like, we're getting Smoke's dancing. He's got some choice words. Like it's been fun to watch.
So I think when we're in the groove of things, I think like nothing can stop us and stuff like that. It's just sometimes we get punched in the face and then our vibes slow down. So I think the biggest thing is like always just staying in the vibe zone no matter like what happens for us. And I think we got to see that today a lot. I mean, yeah, Dylan, Smoke was just jumping around a couple of those rounds, but even in those rounds where it was a little tense and we just kept saying relax, and then we let him make his play, and he went crazy, and then he gets to jump around, and it just kind of brings the vibes the next couple of rounds. It's so nice.
Glad to hear. And last question, because I got to make sure the great minds can prep for tomorrow's match, but you're in the grand finals, you're up against M80 again, and of course, at this point, you've secured LCQ, but are playing for a spot directly in play-ins. Effie's first. How are you feeling?
Feels great to at least have that behind us. Like, I feel like it was definitely pressure. Like, we don't want to be the team that doesn't even have a chance to go to play-ins. Obviously, the match tomorrow, we're going in like, double band disadvantage. But at the same time, it feels a bit different than last time because I feel like our map pool is much better this split than it was the last split. So it feels definitely more calm than the last time we went in the grand finals against them.
Right. Nature, same question. M80 rematch, that spot at play-ins. How you feel?
I feel great. I think the whole team probably feels really good. It's a relief that we've qualified for something at least, right? So now we can go into it. We want to obviously win. I think they want to win really bad too. They would like to just prep for LA. But I do think that our map pool has gotten like a much better. Fracture, we get, more than one round, and I think it's a good start to the damn day. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm glad to hear the confidence there. I mean, congrats on this win. Congrats on it. Minimum LCQ. Thank you both for chatting, and best of luck. Best of luck tomorrow, both of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. I'm excited for the team. I mean, this has been a team that is I'm messing up all my words and stuff. I'm excited for them. I mean, hear of the trials over the year, and how much they've worked towards this. It's a team that you can't help but root for, right? They even look at it's been tense, it's serious, but there's still laughable moments, right? I don't know, it's awesome to see.
It is a team that's really hard not to be a fan of, guys. I mean, even just hearing about, you're talking about their journey, Sierra, how they've had that growth, and I think how candid and transparent they've been about, having disagreements in the server, and then how they're able to bring things back. It says a lot about how invested all of these players are, how seriously everybody has been taking it, and we've known from day one that everyone on SRB is absolutely going to be taking it seriously, but I think actually getting to hear it from them is a bit of a different story, just hearing those dynamics from Effie's himself and then Nature as well. It's always nice to get a little bit of a peek in behind the scenes.
And I mean, for Shopify now, this will be their third time in the grand finals, taking a look at the bracket. And I mean, from the beginning of this, Roy, we've talked about M80, Shopify Rebellion Black, a destined meetup that we'd maybe get to see twice. We only get to see once, SRB took a little bit of a different path. It's going to be a difficult one tomorrow, but hey, this is, I think, how we all expected this one to end.
Yeah, and I think the meta is also is sort of shifted back into SRB's hands, right? Where I feel like in Split 2, they were feeling a little bit awkward. They were having role issues, and maybe their map was a little bit weak. I can kind of sense the confidence, but I don't know. I think maybe I'm crazy, but I think it's a little bit coped. Everything's behind us. No, you want to win tomorrow. Let's be real here. You do not want to go to LCQ. That's terrifying. I think they want the win, but they're just trying to avoid facing the reality that this win matters so much. But that being said, I think tomorrow's game, guys, is going to be absolutely insane. If you were to ask every single person on the desk who they thought was going to be in the grand finals, I think most of us would have said M80 versus SRB, the fated match. It's here. It's going to be exciting.
And as you said, maybe you necessarily don't want to go to LCQ, but at least to secure at minimum that for both of these teams is incredible. These two have been our point leaders. The last two teams with the asterisk next to them, their points haven't been added in, but don't worry, they have more than that 125. Whoever wins tomorrow goes to play-ins, a chance to play for champions. Whoever loses out will then have the second most amount of circuit points, and of course will go to LCQ to fight for that chance. So still opportunities for these teams up ahead, but tomorrow so much at stake. Who's going to be our stage 3 champion? Who is going to get a spot at play-ins? Who can say that they're the best of the best and can end off Challengers the champion? It all comes down to tomorrow. Thank you all so much for tuning in today, the grand finals. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow.
I see SRB taken a little bit of a step ahead into the conditioning of what SAD Esports was trying to do here on their eco, because they've been opening consistently here, Smoke and Nixa towards the A side. You saw here that Vito was trying to go for that trap play, at least trying to catch them off guard by going for the solo play to satchel right into the rocks to try to get a kill.
They're confident about this re-hit, so all rise on Smoke. Now he hears that noise. He's gonna choose his moment carefully, and it's huge. Zatch down, 2 left. It's hunting season, and Welly's looking like prey. Misses the shot. He won't do so again. Barrel to the dome. Hey, Nina tried to isolate. Chase down onto Xander and takes a moment to catch his breath, and SAD work together, but against Smoke, he's a one-man army. A 3K with the up at close range at that. The flicks from Lotus return, and he is just a demon. Blades out, looking for the ace. Up on top, sends Willie to heaven.